All right, what's going on? It is drive time. It's a Monday afternoon. It's about 5 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock, and it is cold. It is northeast cold. It has hit you in your teeth cold today on this Monday afternoon. But as it is every single day, it's good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic. Porter Larson in our downtown Broadway media studios producing the program today. We are out and about. We'd love to meet you and say hello. You can enter to win some Utah men's basketball tickets, the Red Hot Utah Utes, winners of 3 straight. Of course, we're going to talk about the win over BYU today. You can get a free ESPN 700 pen. You can meet Cynthia and say hello. We are making dreams come true on a Monday afternoon. So here's where we're at. We are at the Warehouse. It is 1825 South, 300 West. Great deals on sofas, mattresses, pillows. We're going to get to know our friends out here a little bit more. Going to bring in my guy Vidal. He's going to tell us what you guys can expect if you come on down. But in the meantime, pretty centrally located, right off the freeway. So the best thing to do is put this address in your GPS and just follow it. It is 1825 South, 300 West here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. So put it in the GPS, look for our ESPN 700 van out front, and then come on in and say what's up, enter to win some Utes tickets, grab a free ESPN 700 pen, and we're going to have a good time today. Excited to be down here and out and about on this Monday afternoon. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a jam-packed sports weekend, and I'll say it continues tonight with the College Football Playoff National Championship game. You can hear that game on our station, and we're going to get you ready for that game with a number of different great college football guests. Porter doing a great job today booking the program. We got a great guest list to cover college football, to cover the weekend that was in the NFL, as we have conference championships lined up for the first time in 33 years. The Washington football team, Commanders, previously the Redskins, whatever it is, they are in the conference championship after upsetting the Detroit Lions. That's kind of been the main topic on sports media today. The Chiefs took care of the Texans in very Chiefs fashion. 2 really good games yesterday. Saw the Eagles take care of the Rams at home. And once again, Lamar Jackson taking a lot of heat today. Undeservedly so, in my opinion, but the Buffalo Bills march on. University of Utah men's basketball team picks up a massive win over BYU. I was in the building. It felt like it did back when I was in school there in the late 90s. From my vantage point, for the first time in a while. So some good buzz around this basketball team now. And as Craig Smith said after the game, fans impact winning. Your next opportunity will be coming up on the 25th of this month against Baylor. 2 home games after the road trip against one of the best college basketball teams in the country, Houston. And when you watch Houston play, they have grown men playing for Kelvin Sampson. They're the number 7 team in the country. Baylor was upset by TCU over the weekend, so the Utes will be at Houston and then home against Baylor and Cincinnati before traveling to Oklahoma State. So some good buzz around the Utes. They're 3-3 in conference play. They're 11-6 overall. They're tied with Baylor and TCU as well as UCF in conference, just behind West Virginia, Kansas, and Texas Tech. BYU, on the other hand, we're going to talk about it today. They fall to 2-4 in conference play. And they have not won a Quad 1 game. They're 0-5 in Quad 1 games. They're 0-4 in games decided by 5 points or less. They have not won a game on the road. So, as we've talked about, if you're Kevin Young, you've got the talent on paper. You've got 2 first-round NBA prospects on your roster. You're paying these kids a lot of money. Now you got to prove you can coach. And I thought he was out-coached by Craig Smith, who, in my opinion, does not have the same type of talent on paper as Kevin does at BYU. So we'll get into that game on the show today. And obviously the College Football National Championship tonight presented by AT&T. It's Ohio State and Notre Dame. The line has moved over the past 30 minutes. Ohio State is now a 9-point favorite over the Fighting Irish tonight. We will bring you that game right when we say goodnight a little early, about 5:30 Mountain Time, and we're going to preview that game on the show today. The Utah Jazz played the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm not sure how dialed in you are to Jazz basketball right now, but the Jazz are 10-30, which at last check is last in the Western Conference, the 3rd worst record in the NBA. And we know what time it is, so I'm sure we'll get the injury report. Half the team's going to be sitting. The Pelicans have 11 wins on the season. The Jazz have 10. So 2 bad teams going. But happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to you. The NBA celebrates this day and has for a number of years by playing a lot of games. It started very early namely 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So we'll do some NBA on the program today. There's a ton to do. The Utah Hockey Club picked up a win over the St. Louis Blues. RSL is on the pitch for preseason to prepare for CONCACAF. And we are jam-packed with a really, really good guest list on this Monday afternoon. Good to have you with us. Our first guest right out of the gates, one of my favorites to talk college football with. His name is Spencer Hall. And we'll get a preview of tonight's game. We'll get a thought on the Utes, thought on the Cougars, Big 12 football with Spencer. We'll do some NBA with Tom Haberstroh today. Here's my NBA question out of the gates today. What sort of impact, like Larry Markkinen is awesome when he plays a lot, what sort of impact does it have on star players when the organization does not allow them to play in actual games? We'll do some big picture NBA with Tom. Josh Furlong stops by from KSL. He covers the University of Utah. He was in the building for Utah's win over BYU, so we'll get Josh on the show today. Scott Mitchell stops by, former Utah quarterback. We'll do some Utes, some Big 12, and we'll preview tonight's national championship game. And as a former quarterback of the Detroit Lions, how's that fan base digesting a really, really difficult loss when they were a heavy favorite over Washington? And then Rick Neuheisel joins the program. Rick is now with CBS as a college football analyst. He was a high-level quarterback in his college and a little bit of pro day as well, but well-known as a head coach for Colorado, UW, coached in the NFL for Baltimore as well, won a Rose Bowl as a coach. I emceed an event last week in Park City where Rick was on our panel, and it was a lot of fun for our friends at Dauntless Capital. So we'll bring in Rick Neuheisel today as well. So Spencer Hall, Tom Haberstroh, Josh Furlong, Scott Mitchell, Rick Neuheisel. Man, what a show today as we are live at the warehouse. It is 1825 South, 300 West. Come on by and say hello. And I would love to meet you. You can enter to win Utah men's basketball tickets as they get set to welcome in the Baylor Bears. Should be a really good game coming up this week. That is going to be coming up on Saturday. That will be Saturday at 2:30. So if you're looking for something to do coming up on Saturday, come on by and enter to win some tickets as Utah welcomes in the Baylor Bears. Again, 1825 South, 300 West on this Monday afternoon. So Spencer Hall, Tom Haberstroh, Josh Furlong, Scott Mitchell, Rick Neuheisel, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners. And back in the studio producing the show today is a young man named Porter Larson. Porter, I know you're young, but I've got to say, Saturday night, Huntsman Center, Utah BYU basketball, if I blinked, I would have felt like, a young Spence Checketts, bleached blonde hair, puka shell necklace, possibly 2 collars popped, was in the student section watching Andre Miller and Britton Johnson play high-level basketball, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the environment was really good. Obviously, the rivalry game often brings an up in the ante when it comes to the environment, the atmosphere in the John M. Huntsman Center. But that's a venue that the history there, just the way that building is constructed. If you get the people in the building, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be loud, and it's going to have an effect on the basketball game, and it did so. I don't know that the basketball necessarily lived up to some of the stuff that we saw in the stands, but hey, Utah got the W. Utah got the W. That's what matters, and we go from there.
Grumpy producer Porter on a Monday? Are you trying to rain on our We've got 4 hours of this, buddy.
I'm just pointing it out, man. It was not exactly pretty basketball, but hey, an ugly W is a W nonetheless, especially in a rivalry game.
Yeah, and make a freaking free throw. I'm talking to both teams. All right, we're going to get into it. We've got a great guest list today. Our first guest will be Spencer Hall to talk some college football. But before we get to Spencer, live today at the warehouse is where we're at. Come on by and say hi at 1825 South, 300 West here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. It is time now for your opening tip. So, Saturday night at the Huntsman Center, University of Utah welcomed in BYU for a rivalry, a holy war on the hardwood. And I got to give a shout-out to our guy Ken Pomeroy. Ken Pom, who's going to join the show, who's kind of a North Star for all of us who cover college basketball. He said the Utes are a 1-point favorite as far as his model goes. And When you dig into the data a little bit further, he also said this is basically a toss-up. 73-72 was your final, so Ken Palm was spot on. I was surprised and talked about this last week that Vegas installed Utah as the favorite over BYU. I mean, if you follow this stuff, if you cover it, if you analyze it, nobody is going to make a case that Utah has better personnel than BYU. BYU has Yegor Demon, who at last check on Jonathan Givony's mock draft is the number 7 NBA prospect in the country. Cannon Catchings, who I don't see it yet, man. Like, we're going to get into it. Cannon's coming off the bench, played 13 minutes, came in and just jacked up a bunch of threes, went 1 of 5 from 3 in 13 minutes. I mean, he's young, and you can see why the pro scouts like him. He's long. But we're going to talk about where these programs find themselves. But simply put, Utah doesn't have the talent on paper that BYU does. Now, the interesting subplot here, of course, Keba Keita, who played last year at the University of Utah, transfers to Brigham Young, makes himself a nice amount of NIL money, comes back up, and 2 of 7, 4 points, 9 boards, couple of assists, 3 blocks. The numbers don't really tell you the effect that Keba has on the game. He's really good. And I thought Utah did a good job of bringing the physicality the way of BYU. So a couple of things here. First of all, Ezra Asar really has burst on the scene, and Craig talked about this after the game, that Ezra has been dealing with some personal things. He left the team for a death in the family. Craig actually got emotional when talking about Ezra. And he has kind of been the impetus to what Utah has been able to do, winning 3 straight Big 12 basketball games over Oklahoma State at home, TCU on the road. TCU beat Baylor this weekend. And then, of course, a massive win against BYU. Now, this was a quad 2 win for Utah, but it was a quad 1 opportunity for Brigham Young. They fall to 0-5 now in quad 1 games. So, obviously, BYU is dealing with a lot of very new dynamics, a new roster, a new head coach, which is just the reality of college sports right now. You're going to have a ton of changeover when it comes to your roster year in and year out. But I really thought this was a confidence booster for a team that not a lot of people believe is going to do very much this year. So we probably should just stop doing media polls. Utah was picked last in the Big 12 in the media poll. And look, I can't say I don't understand why. A lot of question marks about the roster, a lot of question marks about whether or not, they have the talent to stack up with other Big 12 teams that literally have 2 or 3 NBA guys each. At least that's what it feels like when you watch Houston play. Coming up, Utah's going to be on the road taking on Houston. Houston has grown men, like big dudes that are physical, and this is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a fight. But before we get on to what's next, let's talk about what happened. First of all, I want to give a shout-out to Utah fans. Utah fans packed that building on Saturday night in a way that truly I have not seen potentially since I was a student there in the late 90s. And there was BYU blue, not as much as I thought there was going to be. And as we talked about last week, all of these rumors of BYU fans snatching up the second market tickets in the upper bowl and trying to come down low because Ute fans don't show up oftentimes. You have to call it how it is. But that building was packed. And, I can only approach it from my own experience where I was sitting, several Utah and BYU fans sitting close together. And all I saw was civil behavior from everybody. Does that mean that it happened all over the arena? Probably not. But ultimately, I think that was a good side plot. And Kevin Young actually talked about it after the game. He said his kids felt like they were walking into a UFC fight because they didn't know what to expect. But as far as the game flow goes, so we saw for, I believe this is the second straight game, the same starting 5. And also interesting subplot, it wasn't just Keba Keita. Jake Wallin was originally a BYU commit. I want to give Hunter Erickson a ton of credit. Yes, he airballed 1 free throw. Hunter Erickson, BYU player, originally came back up, and also Caleb Lohner, who transferred from BYU to Baylor and then came to Utah to play football. Caleb's put on a tremendous amount. He looks like a football player playing basketball. When he was a freshman back here at the University of Utah, he looked like a basketball player. Didn't look like a football player. That's a big boy, man. He brings some physicality, played 9 minutes for Craig. So you have Hunter Erickson, you have Caleb Lohner, you have Jake Wallin with BYU ties, you have Keba Keita, who played for Utah last year. And yes, and ultimately the conversation, and my wish for all of you, is you find something to be as passionate about as BYU fans are passionate about claiming the refs cost them games. Okay? So the free throw disparity is something that has to come into play. Okay? Utah shot 32 free throws. BYU shot 10. BYU made 4 of 10 free throws. Okay? And then Utah 17 of 32. It's like nobody wanted to win the game. Now, a couple of things here. Utah was the more physical team taking the ball to the basket. When you're more physical, either attacking the rack or trying to go down low, and because BYU did such a good job on Gabe, I want to give BYU a lot of credit for the way they guarded Gabe Madsen. Everybody's talking about Gabe was 2 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 11 from 3. He had no space. They were blitzing him off every single screen. They went with Mawat Mag on him originally. I actually thought Richie Saunders would chase him around. Richie spent some minutes on him. But every time Gabe came off the screen, I was close enough to the floor, you could hear BYU players scream shooter, blitz him, bring 2, and Gabe had no space. Now, ultimately, because of how BYU was playing Gabe Madsen, because as Utah goes, Gabe is going to go this year for the most part. I think Saturday is going to be an exception. But because BYU was gapping him, blitzing him, sending 2, Craig elected to go down low to Lawson Lovering a lot, more than I've seen him. And obviously, we've probably gone too far without giving Ezra Asari even more credit. So it was Lawson and Ezra in the post, and they were able to punish BYU. And it didn't matter who was guarding Ezra. In fact, the only player who had a little bit of success was Keba. Keba Keita actually played him pretty well. But they went with Foose Traore, who had a really, really nice game. He's such a skilled big with great footwork and really good feet. But he couldn't do anything with Ezra. And Ezra was giving up inches. I don't know how tall he is. I mean, as far as what he's listed at, I think Ezra's listed at 6'8". There's no way. He's like 6'5", maybe. And he was giving up a lot of inches to BYU's bigs, but they couldn't do anything with his skill set, his ball fakes, and his overall ability to finish around the rim. That game reminded me a lot of an old Jazz player named Adrian Danley, who was probably 6'5", couldn't jump over a piece of paper, but somehow had the ability with shot fakes, head fakes, and footwork to put up 28, 30 points every night. And Ezra has really kind of been the main impetus over the past few games for Utah's resurgence. He went for 21 against OK State. He was a little quiet against TCU. He only had 8 points, had 6 boards. But, the 21 points against OK State was a season high. The 26 against BYU is now a season high. And by the way, he had 24 of his 26 in the second half. Like, they couldn't do anything with him. But back to the fouls for a second. You do realize BYU was intentionally fouling Lawson Lovering like over and over. So Utah more aggressive. BYU playing the hack of Lawson, I guess is what we'll call it. Were there some questionable calls? For sure. I was close to the court so I could see. There was also a horrible call that nearly gave BYU the win on Jake Wallin that was just atrocious. To Porter's point, I mean, they didn't shoot well. Neither team. BYU goes 38% from the floor. Utah goes 44%. Both teams shot 26% from the three-point line. And then Utah 53% from the free throw line and BYU 40% from the free throw line. BYU out-rebounds everybody, but not Utah. Utah rebounded them 47-44, which I thought was a massive key. And Utah really rebounded as a team. Wallin had 9. Ezra had 6. Lawson had 7. And then Mike and Gabe both had 4. Keanu Dawes came off the bench in limited minutes, had 3. Like, everybody came in and got boards for Craig. And they played physical. They played hard. And they stayed in it to the end. And, yes, they needed a little bit of luck. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I don't know why Kevin Young plays Trevin Knell. I have no idea in big moments. Like, the only thing he does is shoot it well as far as a spot-up shooter. He moves pretty well without the basketball. And if he's open, he's a deadeye. But he does not guard. He can't dribble. He can't make plays. And he missed. Like, he goes to the free throw line, I'm thinking it's done. Because the one thing, like, if Trevin Knell doesn't make free throws, you have to pull a scholarship. Like, that's why he's on your roster. But, of course, you feel bad for the young kid because I'm sure he's taking a lot of heat because he could have won it with a couple of free throws. I don't understand why Kevin doesn't just let Dallin be the primary playmaker the entire time. He has Big 12 experience, and I just don't see right now Yegor Demin evolving into this top 10 prospect. You can see why pros like him because he's long and he can see over defenses, but as of now, a top 10 NBA prospect is not something I'm seeing. So we'll get back to this game coming up in a bit. Josh Furlong was live at the game, and so we'll get his take on it. But coming up next, we're going to bring in Spencer Hall to do some college football. But we're live today at the Warehouse, 1825 South, 300 West. And the manager here, right? Our guy Vidal, you're the manager.
Yes, sir, I am.
So you're like the big boss.
Well, let's call it that for now. Yes.
Okay.
So far so good. Let's call it that.
A very important guy. Well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for having us, first of all.
Of course. Thank you guys for being here. So we appreciate you guys very much.
For sure. So, what do you want our listeners to know about what you have going on at the warehouse today?
Yes, of course. So we are the warehouse in Salt Lake City. This is the only one that we advertise for. This is actually one of the original warehouses here in the Salt Lake Valley. Again, our address is going to be 1825 South 300 West. Our telephone number is going to be 801-467-2202. We have a little bit of everything. Let me tell you, we can actually go ahead and have from regular twin size mattresses all the way to split king size mattresses with adjustable bases. Quick fact, we are the lowest pricings that you will ever see on adjustable bases and mattresses. There is nobody in town that would actually try to even match our prices. So just for a quick sneak peek, let's go ahead and call this. We are advertising today, and for the rest of the week, we have twin size mattresses that usually retail for $1,200. A twin size mattress usually retails for $1,200. We have it right here at the warehouse for $199.
$1,000 savings.
$1,000 saving. 8-inch memory foam gel infused mattresses. $1,200 if you try to buy this online. We have it here in the store ready for you to take for $1,200. Now that's not the only thing. From today all the way till Friday, if you buy a mattress from us, we will go ahead and give you for free. We'll give you a free pillow. This pillow usually retails for $120. So you're basically getting a deal worth $1,300 for $199.
So wait, somebody can come in and use the discount on the mattress and buy the mattress for $199, and you're still giving them the free pillow?
Yes, sir. As long as they say, I heard this on the radio,
okay.
I'll go ahead and give them the free pillow. Free gift. Simple as that.
Can I get a free pillow for you?
Of course, man.
No,
you'll get one pillow, not a problem.
I bought, because my son needed a new mattress, I bought a twin mattress a couple months ago, and it was not close to the price that you're offering today. I wish I would have waited.
And even the quality is not going to be something that we manufacture. This is going to be top tier qualities. So, I mean, we have a lot of people coming from Park City, coming from different counties just to come and buy from us. And we do delivery and set up as well. It's going to be a little bit of an extra fee, but we can definitely work something out for sure.
Very nice. Vidal, we're going to talk again, but really nice to meet you, okay? So come on by the warehouse. I didn't realize they were doing that deal. In case you missed it, let me reset it. A mattress that typically costs you close to $1,300 is going for $199. And then a pillow, which is valued at about $170, they're giving away for free. So you can get a new mattress and a free pillow for like $200. As Vidal mentioned, they've got a little bit of a delivery fee, but come on in and check it out, and then he'll kind of catch you up. So we're at the warehouse today. Once again, come on by and say hi. The location is 1825 South, 300 West. ESPN 700 van is right out front. So come on by and say hi. All right, coming up on the other side, we'll transition from college basketball to some college football. Spencer Hall stops by. Then it's Tom Haberstroh, Josh Furlong, Scott Mitchell, Rick Neuheisel. Great guests. Listen, a busy Monday show. And it's good to have you with us right here on ESPN 700. You can't step on that music bed. You just can't. Got to let it go. It'd be a horrible, horrible move by me, extreme malfeasance if I stepped on that. We're live today at the Warehouse. Come on by. It's 1825 South, 300 West. In case you missed the ESPN 700 special, they're offering a twin mattress that is typically $1,300 for only $199, and you also get a pillow that is valued at $150 for free. Yep, that's right. Sounds too good to be true, but it's not. Come on by the Warehouse, 1825 South, 300 West, here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. Our next guest enjoys himself a comfortable pillow, I would imagine. Do a little college football now with my buddy Spencer Hall. Spencer, happy Monday, man. How we doing?
I am ready to do this because it's Monday. We should have played this on Saturday. I know the NFL's got business, but always feels weird ending a college football season on a Monday.
Most important question, though, firm pillow guy, soft pillow guy? How does Spencer Hall like to get his sleep?
Firm. I got a big head, so I need a pillow that fights back.
That fights back. That's so good. I'm the same way. All right. So let me follow up with what you just said, because it does seem like, and you kind of alluded to it, you hear a lot of people that cover college football say, well, you should never go head-to-head with the NFL, and a lot of people now complaining that the game is played on Monday night. Are you of the opinion that college football should just play it Saturday night and go head-to-head with the NFL?
I think it could, and I don't think it's a great idea, but I don't know if doing it Monday night as a television product on its own is that much better. I really don't. It's just it feels odd to me. And this is me fully admitting, I don't think there is a really good solution. Just the calendar's jammed at this point. Large football games matter a lot. But we have a lot of time and a lot of breathing room in between when we decide who's in this game and when we play it. And we might want to manage that a little bit better. It feels strung out and it feels a little thin to be ending this on January 20th.
I certainly agree with you there. Let's stay in the space of what I'm calling diagnosing, not prognosticating, because it's impossible to predict any of this stuff with the new format and college football being what it is, an unpredictable beast. But now that we have this 12-team expanded CFP more or less behind us, do you like the new format? Does it need adjusting? What's your take?
I think it needs some adjustments because I do think we need proper seeding. We didn't really have that because we're still honoring conference championships. And this is a bit of a zero-sum game because I don't think there's any way to properly seed teams without necessarily discrediting or devaluing conference championships. And I think that's a conflict that they're going to have to resolve because if we automatically give buys to conference champions, and just necessarily because of the way that conference competition is set up, especially now with mega conferences, you're going to get some weird results. You're going to get Boise State and Arizona State deservedly under the current format getting a bye and ending up in the second round. And really only Arizona State could live up to that. And I think that was probably the high side of an overall trend where if we continue to do that, I don't think you're going to end up with as strong an initial batch of competition as you might like.
As I've told you before, I always push back on the whole cheer for the conference that your team is in thing because it's such a fleeting landing spot and could change. But I will ask you, did Arizona State, with their performance against Texas, did that say anything about the quality of the Big 12 overall, or was that just a commentary on Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State in a vacuum?
I think it has to necessarily speak well of the Big 12. I think Iowa State helped a lot with that by beating Miami, too, that in those two games, the Big 12 went up against prime competition, or at least very good competition in Miami's case, and beat them straight up. And I think it speaks well that of both individually of Arizona State. There is no team that managed a bigger turnaround in terms of where they were last year, 3-9 in the conference, and came out on top and very nearly beat Texas and took them into overtime in the college football playoff. So I think my answer to that question is yes and yes. I'll say yes to both of them.
All right, fair enough. I don't mean to ruin your Monday, but I am going to ask you this question because last week, I think it was last Monday, I sat down to start start my prep, and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to do a segment on Big 12 football next year. And I just started digging into it, and I have zero frame of reference, zero idea at what how the Big 12 will play out or what it's going to look like. What's the Spencer Hall way too early January feel on the Big 12 next year?
Wow, that is quite the assignment on the spur of the moment. But I'm going to roll with it. The most bankable asset in the Big 12's portfolio going into the season. One, we cannot write off the champion in the form of Arizona State.
Yep.
It's not possible now. I know Cam Scatterbo can't be replaced, but that's a program with a lot going for it, a good young quarterback in Sam Leavitt, and a roster that's only going to, I think, get deeper, smarter, stronger, and faster. So the variety of ball they played and how they managed what they had and their execution, it was unparalleled in conference. Just below them, I'd have to go Iowa State, just because you've got so much culture there, consistency. They won't be as good, and I'm just saying that, by the way, betting on regression to the mean, because this is the first. It was not just the first 10-win season in Iowa State history; it was the first 11-win season. So, in over 100 years of playing the game, they're going to come back a little bit, but they're still going to be good just because of the institutional consistency there. And then, while I'm making boring picks, Kansas State just seems to be the team that, if I had to bank on somebody having 8 or 9 quality wins a year, they're right there.
So BYU fans out this way feel like and I'm not even sure that they're entirely wrong. And, the beautiful thing about college football, if it's a 4-team CFP, we're going to debate who 5 through 10 would be. If it's a 12-team, we're going to debate who 13 through 16 would be or whatever. And a lot of people think BYU had a case to maybe be included in this expanded 12-team CFP. And the crazy thing, Spencer, is at the end, the final 2 or 3 iterations and rankings, BYU wasn't really even talked about. Now, they lost 2 of their final 3, and certainly timing is paramount. And that Kansas loss at home, where they only put up 13 points, will sting, because they went toe-to-toe with ASU at their place and lost before kind of closing out against Houston. And then they rout Colorado in the Alamo Bowl, which led to Reggie Bush saying BYU got a raw deal. Now that we're sitting here and, again, diagnosing instead of prognosticating, do you think BYU fans have a legitimate beef?
I think they do, especially with me, because I just left them out of that entire potential Big 12 preview. And I'm sorry for that, BYU fan. It's a sincere apology. You're like, oh, surely he'll just go ahead and be like, but. No, there's no but here. Sorry about that. Y'all are awesome. So just all apologies from me. I would say this. I think that they, just due to the way that the playoff was set up, they were a victim of recency bias. Losing games late isn't supposed to hurt when we're just considering the overall slate. It hurts. It hurts. It's because it's people picking the games, and they tend to remember what they just saw, which, again, is Reggie Bush, all respect to Reggie, he knows more about football than he's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. But when Reggie says that, oh man, they got a raw deal. Well, it's because you just watched them whoop up on Colorado. That's why you're an eye on it, and that's fine. But at the same time, we do tend to just say what we just saw and not look at the body of work as a whole, which, again, phenomenal. And like I said in our earlier Big 12 preview, BYU is right up there in terms of the top 3 or 4 teams in the conference and has to be considered a contender.
Well played, sir. And since you are on the home of the University of Utah, I'll take the opportunity to ask you about the Utes. Now, 41 new players. It's a 53% roster turnover, and that's not anything Kyle's ever done. It's the reality of the sport now, and so I have no feel for it. I don't know much about any of these players. We interviewed Jason Beck last week, their new offensive coordinator. He's an impressive guy, and a lot of schools wanted him, and he lands at Utah. What's your way too early, the Spencer Hall January take on Utah football year 2 in the Big 12?
I'm really intrigued to see how they manage roster turnover like that. I really do. It is not just a relatively new thing for everybody. It is so new to a very specific way of doing things. in Salt Lake that I'm really, really intrigued by what they might be able to do or not be able to do with player development, because that's been one thing Utah's been so good at, is player development and bringing them up and taking these guys and really teaching them how to be college football players over a span of years, not just 1 or 2 years. So I am intrigued by that. I am also intrigued by the kind of system that Beck is going to bring, because not that Utah's ever been backwards looking when it comes to offense, but I think things are shifting now towards leveling the playing field by running the ball more and having a more evolved run game. So I'm really intrigued to see what they do with that, because I think that plays the roster thing. I don't know whether that's good or bad. I have no indication as to whether this coaching staff and that culture is going to handle it well. I do know one thing that would be really cool is if they stuck with that run game, because I think that plays really well into what Whittingham has done with his best Utah teams.
I am wildly impressed because I am the professor. You showed up to class today ready to take a different test, and I surprised you with a couple of questions, and you handled it very well. So let's move on, Spencer, to the material that you have been studying, and that is the College Football National Championship game that is tonight. We'll have it on our radio station. Let's go team by team, and then we'll get to the game. What stands out most to you about the Fighting Irish and their run, and Marcus Freeman, who at the age of 39 feels like this wonderkin's rising star in college football?
He is. There's a number of things that I think could be fascinating about this game, and I think it is one that Notre Dame could lose by 20, and we still wouldn't think any less of Marcus Freeman, just because of the monster talent machine that Ohio State has managed to acquire at the price of around $20 million by most reports, something that my colleague Roger Sherman in his newsletter said was a deal. And I fully agree. $20 million for that payroll in terms of recruiting athletes, paying them, and getting them to campus is nothing. I think that is the model you're going to see, and it's the model that everybody, including Notre Dame on the other side, is going to have to establish as their benchmark. Another thing that's interesting to me is we've got a national title game with two quarterbacks, and who were both transfers. So in case you wonder whether we're here, we're 100% here. You have a coach who was only at Notre Dame, I believe, a season before he became head coach and has gotten there relatively quickly. You have a guy, Ryan Day, who could very well win this game, and then, I don't know, take another job. That's like, he might, by all indications, it's been an extremely stressful year for him as a season. It's not been easy for his family. If there were an opportunity somewhere else, say in the NFL, he might be listening to that, even if they won a title. This is the era of the mercenary. And I think it's interesting when we say that, hey, you got a new luminary in Marcus Freeman, you go, yeah, that's cool. We no longer assume, hey, Notre Dame's got their guy for the next decade. Hardly. We say, okay, well, where is he going next?
Yeah, and, it started out really rough, that home loss to Marshall, and, of course, this year, questions early on. But let's go to the other side. And, you reference Ryan Day. Let me get your thoughts on this. I mean, yes, you got to beat Michigan if you're the head coach of Ohio State, and that hasn't happened in 4 straight. You hear some people, and look, I don't know. I mean, you'll be good with this because I don't really know who to trust here, but is he legitimately in danger of losing that job if they don't win tonight?
No, not if they don't win tonight. But what you, I think, have seen is that Ryan Day and that fan base, when they don't get along in the best of times, it's bad. And then at the worst of times, it could be atrocious. So this, to me, is an indication that I don't think no coach is necessary to Ohio State. It's quite the other way around. Ohio State has had success with a number of different coaches. The team, the university, the institution, and the football program, they make good coaches great and make great coaches into legends. And I think that's the way they think of it accurately, and I also think that's the part that that we're all aware of when we talk about Ryan Day. Now, that said, Ryan Day's teams right now, on paper, they're putting up better numbers than Urban Meyer's best teams. And they've managed this. This is an interesting note about what you're looking at with Ohio State. At times, it feels like Ohio State has played down to their competition or played an unusually slow brand of football this year. especially given the talent they have. What you need to know is that they've managed the number of snaps to prepare for a long season, which is an exceptional job. When you think about it, like football is a brutal, sometimes dangerous sport, and the fewer snaps that you can play, if you know you're going 13, 14, 15 games deep, the better. And they've done that. I think their defensive coordinator said they've saved over 100 snaps over the course of a season, which could be, 2 games worth of snaps when you add it all together. That, to me, says somebody who could advertise his ability as somebody who can manage a program beyond the college ranks. And, you say, okay, well, could he lose his job? He could leave that job. I think that's far more plausible than him losing that job, especially given what we've seen out of both Notre Dame and Ohio State. It would be, to me, surprising if Notre Dame won this game, but it would not be shocking. A shocking loss might cost him his job, especially in a year where he lost to Michigan. But overall, the performance, given what they've put into this program and what they've gotten out, especially in obliterating Oregon and Tennessee in 2 of their 3 wins on the way to the title game, I think it speaks for itself.
Let me follow up, as you reference, he might just leave. And is that due to the day-to-day, what feels like heavyweight pressure with the Ohio State job? Would he take another college job? Would he look to go to the NFL? I mean, these are all hypotheticals, but what sort of job would cause Ryan Day to jump?
I think it would be a pro job. I don't think there's any college job necessarily. Like you've already hit the pinnacle of what you can do in college if you're at Ohio State. So I don't see that. If there were a pro job to open up, I think that's what you would be looking at, And the Bears just took one of those, a real logical one off the board in hiring Ben Johnson, the OC for the Lions.
Yes, they did. All right, let's move over to the actual game. And I'm with you. Although when everybody seems to be on one side, I tend to try to push back a little bit. I don't know, though. I mean, Ohio State feels like the side here. They're a 9-point favorite. That line has moved a couple of times towards the way of the Buckeyes. I guess how I'll pose it is, how does Notre Dame stop this from becoming the Tennessee track meet? How does Notre Dame stop this becoming an Oregon boat race, to at least keep this thing close down the stretch?
It would help if they snapped the ball with 1 second on the play clock when they're on offense. That'd probably be a really good decision on their part. The other thing that can help them is they have a choice to make. Al Golden has done a lot in terms of playing man defense as the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. They're not going to be able to do that, I don't think, even though that has been their bread and butter. I think they're going to have to bracket him. And by bracketing, if you're listening to this, you go, what do you mean? Double him. Double him. This is what Belichick would do with best talent. He is defensive coordinator every time. There's a hilarious clip of him talking to Chad Johnson saying, hey, man, you can take the day off, 85, because we're doubling you. And Chad Johnson goes, no, because if we double you, we do something like Texas did, where we hold you to, 1 yard or 1 reception for 3 yards. That's what they're capable of, because you know what Jeremiah Smith can do? Jeremiah Smith can crack open an entire defense by himself. You can't let that happen. So slow pace, double Jeremiah Smith, hope you can live with the damage that the rest of them can do, and then affect the delivery system. You got to affect Will Howard. Will Howard is a good quarterback, sometimes great. And even when he's great, though, like a lot of great quarterbacks, and I think you saw this with the game between the Bills and the Ravens, you get guys who, when they're playing on the very edge of capability, you can make some stupid-looking turnovers, even if you're a great player. That's what you need Will Howard to do. You need to affect him. You need to pressure him. That's hard given some of the injuries on Notre Dame's defense, which is yet another reason why you go, hey, I got to tell you a lot of stories, and I got to get you to believe a lot of things to get you to a Notre Dame upset. I don't need you to believe a thing to believe or to get you to Ohio State wins this game.
One more thing, Spencer, and we're going to end the way we started with a question that might not be on the exam you anticipated, but you referenced Urban Meyer's name earlier, and Urban was here for 2 years and really changed the trajectory of Utah football. And, obviously what he did at Florida, Ohio State cannot be discounted. But at the very end, it wasn't just what happened in Jacksonville. There were just some kind of salacious, not great looks for him that kind of came out a little bit. It was announced last week he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and again, in my opinion, as far as results go, one of the greatest to ever do it. How will we look back on his tenure in both college and pro football as as the conversation ages a bit?
I think you'll look at him as one of the greats. I think he was, especially generationally, he was one of the best. I think that the guy who did that is no longer there. I think if you've looked at somebody who is the poster child for burnout, he's it. He's somebody for whom it's not a guy who you looked at and you thought, you look like you're having fun. At no point did any of that look like fun. So if you said, would Urban Meyer come back for the love of the game? I would say, I don't know what you mean by love of the game there. Does he need to get a bunch of guys to beat a bunch of guys up? That seems to be the thing he enjoyed and he was really good at. But I don't think he looked like somebody who ever said fun, and I don't think he's physically or mentally the same guy because of what he put himself through to get there. And I'm just talking about the Florida job before he ever gets to Ohio State or whatever Jacksonville was. By the time he gets to Jacksonville, I don't think that's the same person. So I think he'll be remembered as one of the greats. I think that he'll also, all of the bad stuff and all of the scars will be part of that legacy too, which is funny because in that sense, he resembles somebody who was one of the first guys he ever worked for, which is Lou Holtz. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good comparison, except I think Meyer was better. And the records and most notably the championships speak for that.
Spencer, thanks for the time. I'm going to give you a passing grade and an A+, even though I tricked you with some questions. And enjoy the game tonight, man. We'll chat soon, okay?
All right.
Spencer Hall, one of the best to talk college football. We'll have the College Football National Championship game coming up at 5:30 tonight. It is Ohio State and Notre Dame. Ohio State is a 9-point favorite as we sit here today. We're going to do some NBA coming up next with Tom Haberstroh. And then we're going to do some Utah BYU basketball with Josh Furlong, some Utes with Scott Mitchell. And then Rick Neuheisel stops by on this busy Monday show. And we're live today at the warehouse at 1825 South, 300 West. And my guy Vidal stops by once again. The manager, the big boss man. Vidal, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm actually happy to be back again.
It's great to have you. We're having a good time out here. So let's reset that deal. As I referenced, I bought a twin-size mattress a couple of months ago. I wish I knew I was coming here before I did that. And I will just tell you, mattress, pillow, bedding, everything, I'm talking $2,000 for it. And you've got a deal. Let's hear about it.
So last spot we talked about the twin, just a regular twin size that we went from $1,200 all the way down to $200, right? Plus a free pillow, of course. Now let's do something a little bit different. I know Thomas is listening to this down in Phoenix, but
shout out to Thomas.
I don't know if he's gonna be mad or not, but hey, I'm taking over today, right? So we're gonna go ahead and do the same deal. I'm gonna give it to you, $200. With the free pillow, we're going to do that exactly on a full-size mattress.
Stop it.
Full-size mattress as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You know what? Tom is going to call me later on and say, hey, what happened? I was like, hey, I was in charge. You told me to be in charge, so I'm in charge.
I like it.
So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that for the rest of the week. That's what we're going to do. We're going to offer you the twin size and the full size, available for $200, and you also get a $120 free pillow.
$120 free pillow, and what would the full-size mattress be at full price? What sort of deal are we talking about?
We're talking about $1,600.
$1,600, wow.
$1,600, man.
So $1,600 for the mattress, $120 for the pillow. So we're talking about, $1,720.
Around there.
And they can get that for $200, and you guys will deliver it for a small fee.
Yes, and you want me to make this deal even better?
Let's do it.
Check this out.
Let's do it.
So, like I mentioned before, we're actually the kings. We are the kings in the state of Utah with the adjustable bases.
Okay.
Now, I can actually throw an adjustable base, a full-size adjustable base, and I'm here. So let me show you. This is the control you're going to get.
Okay.
I can mention this brand right here, but everybody knows this one, right?
Everybody does. Yes.
It starts with an S. Let's just finish at that.
Okay.
So you have the head up. I don't know if you can see right here behind you. We have a bed right there. So you have the head up right here.
Okay.
This adjustable base goes up. The head up right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got the foot up as well. See, when you want to go ahead and adjust, you can do zero gravity. You can do anti-snore. You can do a lot of things on that one on a full size. And it also comes with massage. You have a vibration system underneath. It's amazing. I have it and I love it.
Okay.
So that's a $2,800 base. I'm going to do the base with the wireless control and with this really nice name brand that you see right there. The base itself, I'm gonna do it for $6.99.
$6.99.
$6.99.
You're going to lose your job, man. You got to be careful.
But somebody
here.
else is going to be happy out there with a really good adjustable base, though.
For sure. And I'm telling you, so it's a base that you can adjust. Your head goes up, your feet goes up,
Yes,
and
sir.
then you have the ability to have a massage while you're trying to go to
Yes,
sleep.
sir.
I might buy that before I leave.
Hey, I have plenty of those. Let me know. So it's going to be $6.99 for the base.
Okay.
Plus, you add a mattress on that for $200 mattress.
And a free pillow.
And a free pillow.
Yeah.
So we're looking about $600, $700, $800, $900 for $900 here at the warehouse in Salt Lake City only.
Okay.
Okay. This is Salt Lake City only. The $900 deal that you're gonna take over here, somewhere else, is gonna be at least $3,500.
Yeah,
at
that's
least
wild.
$3,500.
That is wild. Okay, look, we just hit you with a lot of information. The best thing to do is come on into the store or the warehouse at 1825 South, 300 West. If you've been in the market for bedding like I have been, mattresses, bases, whatever it is, and you waited, congratulations, because I didn't know I was going to be out here, else I would have waited, because these are insane deals. 1825 South, 300 West, ESPN 700 van is out front. We're also giving away Utah men's basketball tickets for the Baylor game and the Colorado game. Vidal, good to see you, buddy.
Of course, I'll be back.
Yeah, you will. So come on by and say hi. It's very easy to find, and I did not know that they were going to be bringing these deals to the table, but you're saving a ton of money. Brand new mattresses, brand new bases, free pillow thrown in today at the warehouse at 1825 South, 300 West. Come on by and say hi. All right, 1 hour down, about 3.5 hours to go, because we are going to say goodnight early for the CFP National Championship game. We'll do a little NBA on Martin Luther King Jr. Day coming up with Tom Haberstroh on a Monday Drive right here on ESPN 700. All right, we're live today at the Warehouse, 1825 South, 300 West. Come on by and say hi. Centrally located in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. If you're in the market for a mattress, a base, any sort of bedding or sofa, they're blowing out their inventory. And a lot of great deals. 1825 South, 300 West. How about a free pillow, huh? How about that? Going to bring in Josh Furlong today. We have Scott Mitchell, Rick Neuheisel. But do a little NBA with one of my favorites on a Monday, Tom Haberstroh, on this Monday afternoon. Tom, what's your pillow preference? What's the pillow situation at the Haberstroh household?
I'm so glad you asked because I am a couch pillow guy.
Wait. What exactly what does that look like?
When I sit on the couch and watch TV, I need a pillow in my lap.
Oh. Is that just like an odd quirk, or is there a reason?
No, I think in the Haberstroh household growing up, whenever we watched baseball or basketball in the house, we always fought over the big pillow. It was this green down big pillow that was really heavy, and you would just kind of sit either Indian style or cross-legged or whatever, and then we would be able to have this weight in our stomach, on our belly, and it kind of hid our insecurities about like when you sit on the couch and sometimes you feel kind of fat. If you hold a pillow while you're watching TV, it just adds about 30% more satisfaction to whatever you're watching. And so in bed, I find myself doing the same thing where I'm like clutching a pillow, whether it's a body pillow or just a big monster pillow. I love a hotel room when there's like an obscene amount of pillows on the bed because that means one of them I can hug like a bear.
Wow. Well, I should have expected a detailed breakdown from you on that question because that's what you do with everything I ask you. So we'll move on because I'm sure our listeners are not all that interested in our pillow preferences, but come on by the Warehouse. All right, let's start with
pillow talk, Spence? They don't
wow.
talk?
Look at you, Tom. Bravo, sir. Bravo. So let's start with the piece you wrote today because it's very topical. And, unfortunately, after Buffalo beat Baltimore, you knew that the majority of the coverage was going to be very anti-Lamar, who's just awesome and really, really fun to watch. But the postseason is what it is, and a lot of people are drawing the NBA parallel of James Harden, but you disagree, Tom. Let's unpack it.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not an NFL analyst, but what I do well is I compare statistical resumes very well. I do the research, and I find whether a James Harden comp makes any sense for a guy like Lamar Jackson, and I think it's off base. I don't think it makes any sense, frankly. Like, we're measuring Lamar Jackson against a guy who won one MVP, whereas Lamar Jackson's about to win his third or has a chance to win his third MVP in 7 seasons. And so based on that alone, I think it's unfair to Lamar Jackson to be comparing him to James Harden when by objective accolades and, statistically, Lamar is just better. And so what we want to do is say, oh, he's James Harden because James Harden hasn't won a championship. He hasn't led his team to the NBA Finals besides, being a part of that OKC team in 2012. The guy that makes the most sense statistically, individually, team-wise, is not James Harden. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the reason is because Giannis Antetokounmpo, before he won his title, first 7 seasons in the league, he was 3-5 in the postseason. In terms of playoff series won, he was 3-5. That is the exact same record as Lamar Jackson in the postseason, 3-5. They have the exact same number in their first 7 seasons in the league of playoff appearances. They have the same exact number of conference championship or conference final appearances and finals appearances. It's the exact same. They're identical first 7 years in the league. And so I think we tend to look at Lamar Jackson as like, oh, he's never going to win the big one because, it's hard to look into the crystal ball and project what he's going to be. But I think it's unfair to paint him as the next or as James Harden of the NFL, considering that he's way better than James Harden ever was. I don't think James Harden was hands down considered the MVP in multiple years. And I think Lamar Jackson, we could be looking at this a year from now in the same way we did with Giannis, where in 2020, he was, in many eyes, a fraud, that he was a regular season performer, back-to-back MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year in 2020, and the same year he won MVP, and he lost in the second round to the Miami Heat in 5 games. And so I think when you look at the resume of both of these guys, it's like looking in the mirror. Lamar Jackson is Giannis, and Giannis is Lamar Jackson. And I think a year from now, we could be talking about Lamar Jackson. We were all wrong last year, and he finally won the big one.
That, excuse me, that's interesting. And I did not know which name you were going to drop, and I would not have landed on Giannis. But I can understand ultimately the motivation. And, Lamar is too good to continue to have these postseason failures. I think at some point he's going to break through. And the problem is the Chiefs have Mahomes, and obviously Buffalo has Josh Allen. But we won't do NFL because that's not your bread and butter. And I am stretching to try to make one question about the Utah Jazz somewhat interesting, Tom. And here's what it is. So we all know that Lauri Markkanen is really good. And he's the one piece, in my opinion, they have found after trading Gobert and Mitchell that is real. I have questions about everybody else. Walker has certainly made some strides this year, and I'm happy for him and proud of him for sure. But they're keeping Lowry out of a lot of games, and we understand why. And he's only playing incrementally here or there. And when he has played this year, the numbers have dipped. I just wonder, in your opinion, what sort of danger there is, if any at all, when a team sits a star player a lot during the regular season, because you cannot replicate a game no matter what you do. And obviously Lowry is practicing and he's staying in shape and he's getting shots up and all the things that he does. But is there some sort of potential pitfall or danger when a team decides that they're going to shelf one of their best players for a number of different games throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern with any NBA star, is whether you can really basically take a year off and get back to where you were beforehand, which is an all-star caliber player. And the weird thing about Lauri Markkanen this year is that when he's on the floor, they're 6-25. When he's not playing, they're 4-5. I mean, they're a 500 team without Lauri Markkanen, and then they're 6-25 with him on the floor. And so the idea is, hey, we can't really play Markkanen if he's not 100%. We want to make sure he doesn't get injured. We want to preserve him for the long haul. We got his long-term view in the future. That makes all the sense in the world, but it is odd that his numbers have dipped, and even when he does play, they're still not very good. And even when he doesn't play, they're actually, on the whole, in a small sample size, in 9 games, they're 4-5. So I think when you look at whether the decision is to play him or not play him, I think you got to play him. I think they're not good enough to be very competitive on a nightly basis, even with Markkanen and this roster right now, where John Collins has played 1 game since Christmas. And you're looking at a team that is playing the New Orleans Pelicans. They just lost to the Hornets. They just lost to the Pelicans. And when they just beat the Brooklyn Nets in overtime, you're asking yourself, like, it does seem counterproductive in the whole ping pong ball math. But you remember, Utah still plays in the Western Conference. And whether they have Lauri Markkanen or not, they have the 4th hardest schedule remaining in the NBA by virtue of being in that Western Conference. And the team, Washington, that has the worst record in the NBA, they have the 29th easiest schedule because they play in the East. So they are potentially, Utah, just by being 4.5 games back of the Washington Wizards, just by virtue of being in the Western Conference, they might pile up some losses here, whether Markkanen plays or not, because the Washington Wizards have a cupcake schedule going forward, and the Toronto Raptors the same way.
All right, since it is only a few weeks away, and it feels like every time I dial up a trade deadline guide or prediction piece, the Jazz are mentioned. I have no idea whether or not they're going to be active, and we will revisit this, Tom. I apologize every single time you join us prior to the trade deadline, but you're a guy that's in the know. You're a guy that's plugged in. Hearing anything on the Jazz prior to this February 5th NBA trade deadline?
Well, I think the Nick Richards trade is very interesting. The Charlotte Hornets traded their backup center, Nick Richards, to the Phoenix Suns for essentially 2 second-round picks. Very, very interesting, because I thought that he would get more than that. you look at a guy like John Collins, or you look at a guy like Walker Kessler. If you're the Utah front office and looking at that Nick Richards deal, you're probably a little scared because Nick Richards is a good player. He showed that in his Phoenix Suns debut, and they saved Phoenix like $20 million in tax money, and they took on a cheaper contract. Nick Richards was making less than Josh Okogie, who went the other way to Charlotte, and Charlotte could only get 2 second-round picks for Nick Richards. So I'm a little worried for the market value for Walker Kessler and John Collins based on that information. I think it's more unlikely that they get a deal done based on that price tag because I don't think Utah is looking to trade John Collins or Walker Kessler if they're not getting a first-round pick. And based on that market value, Nick Richards, and that great contract that he's on for $5 million this year, a little more than that next year, I suspect that there's a greater chance that they stay put in Utah than maybe a week ago. And, you know, this is kind of the MO when you're a team that is selling at the trade deadline. It's not necessarily that you sell it for the highest bidder. It's that you sell it for a price that you're willing to sell it at. And for a lot of these teams, they might be flaunting these players and saying, yeah, they're available, but only if they meet a certain asking price. And for the Utah Jazz, I think that asking price, unfortunately, might have to be pushed and squeezed downward because of that Nick Richards contract or that trade that the Phoenix Suns were able to get for him at a pretty cheap number. So I'm a little surprised by that. And I do think Utah is going to be active in the trade market, whether they're going to be helping to facilitate trades. We talked on the KOC show last week. Kevin O'Connor and we discussed about who would be a better fit in Minnesota, Julius Randle or John Collins. And I think John Collins would be a much better fit in Minnesota. But the tough thing about Minnesota is they have to trade. They can't aggregate contracts because they're a second-apron team. So any team that trades with Minnesota has to take on Julius Randle. And I'm not so sure many teams are willing to do that unless Minnesota's sending away a first-round pick. They do have Detroit. They have Detroit's first-round pick this year, which actually becomes a little bit more valuable now that it's going to, no longer be lottery protected. So I'm wondering, can John Collins go to Minnesota? They take on the Julius Randle contract, but do they get a first-round pick from Minnesota to kind of basically rid of themselves of the Julius Randle situation because it's not going well in Minnesota?
So let's move over, to other potential deals, and let's move over to Jimmy Butler, who is back playing for the Heat after that suspension. And it looked like, Jimmy tried to come at the King, and as they say, you best not miss, and he may have. Because I talked to you about this, Tom, when the news broke, like he wants out, when you dig into the details and you look at, the cap situation and the ramifications of making a deal, depending on what it is, it really just doesn't make sense for Miami to move him. And so maybe they find a deal. I don't know. I did enjoy grumpy Eric Spoelstra after his first game, where you could my read on it, Tom, is that he's just over it, that he's kind of exhausted. And he just said, essentially, like, I'm trying to win games and all I can focus on are the guys that are here. And this is what Jimmy Butler does. It's what he's done everywhere. There's a little Chris Paul feel where he just grades on dudes. Do you think they find a spot for him prior to the trade deadline, or is he with the Heat through the end of the year?
Well, that player option is really interesting because you have kind of a James Harden situation in Philly where James Harden was so fed up with Daryl Morey, he was like, I'm taking this player option and trade me. And it was kind of this standoff where Daryl Morey was like, all right, fine, I'll try to find a taker for you. And he ended up making a pretty good deal out of that. And so, James Harden wanted out of Philly. They couldn't get a deal over the summer. And so he picked up that player option and was just like, all right, now send me to the Clippers. And he did get the Clippers deal done. So maybe that's the James Harden play here is, look, if you can't find a trade partner at the deadline, if the only option is Phoenix and you're not taking the no-trade clause, you're not convincing Bradley Beal to waive the no-trade clause, and the Miami Heat are not going to take on that Bradley Beal contract, which has at least 2 more years left on it at $50 million plus, I can understand why the Miami Heat are like, dude, we tried. Unfortunately, Jimmy, the market isn't as bullish on your next deal as you thought, and we're going to have to play this a little bit longer. And so it might be that Jimmy Butler says, all right, fine, we'll take this into the summer. If you really want to play it that way, we'll take it in the summer. I'll pick up the player option, and we'll keep on going this next year. I think ultimately they'll get a deal done, the Miami Heat. I think the Phoenix Suns are going to be desperate. The fact that they are basically 500 right now, they're a game above 500, and they're looking at borderline play-in team. They might miss the play-in altogether. That would be an absolute massive, massive disaster for Phoenix Suns with Matt Ishbia and that $400 million payroll this year. So I do think that if it comes to the Phoenix Suns giving up that 2031 pick that they owe or that they have and they could trade in a deal, I think eventually that gets done. I think eventually the Phoenix Suns will look at the situation and say, whoever will take the Bradley Beal contract will sweeten it with this 2031 pick and maybe even reroute it to the Miami Heat to get the deal done. But I do think that they're going to want Jimmy Butler enough that they're going to have to put all their chips in the middle because they cannot afford to miss the playoffs here. It's just a matter of who is that third team or fourth team that facilitates a Bradley Beal deal. I know that I've talked about on this program that it makes some sense, not a lot, but some sense in Detroit because of all the familial ties between the Phoenix Suns front office and the Detroit front office. Don't sleep on the Detroit Pistons, who are right now in the ninth slot, 500, ninth slot in the Eastern Conference. And I do think that you're going to see Detroit want to upgrade at the deadline to make sure that they solidify a really good season around Cade Cunningham, who's playing like an all-star right now.
Any other names / teams you want to throw out there that could be active and deals that actually are meaningful as opposed to some of these throwaways we may see?
Yeah, I think when you look at the Phoenix Suns, you see those reports about Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I mean, I would love Devin Booker on the Houston Rockets just in general as an NBA fan. I want to see this Houston Rockets team make a big push this year because I think they're ready. Fred VanVleet, great player, but I don't think he is the best player on a championship team or close to it. And I think if you get a Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, that makes just the NBA a lot more exciting. But, you know, I never count out the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, led by Leon Rose, led by a front office power center from CAA, Creative Arts Agency. Leon Rose's number one client was Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns. Those were the jewels of his clientele, and he already got Karl Anthony Towns, and it might be a matter of time before he adds Devin Booker to the New York Knicks if he had his druthers, I'd imagine. So it makes a lot of sense that the number one CAA client on the market, or at least in the NBA, is Devin Booker. And basically the rest of the roster, including Jalen Brunson and Tom Thibodeau and Worldwide West, all CAA guys, I would not count out, if it's not this trade deadline, the long play of looking at the New York Knicks as a potential Devin Booker destination. I've written about that before on Yahoo Sports, but it's just something to keep in mind is as the Phoenix Suns teeter at 500 and might miss the playoff play-in altogether, just keep an eye on what Kevin Durant and Devin Booker do as the deadline approaches.
Last thing, Tommy, I'll set you loose after this simple question. OKC continues just to be incredibly impressive. And you look down the list of teams that could potentially compete and win 4 times in 7 tries. The simple question I'll ask you, does it feel like OKC is starting to separate themselves from the rest of the West? And if not, who's that team that keeps Mark Daigneault up at night?
Well, let's be real. They are not even as good as they can be right now.
Right.
OKC is another level. I mean, that's the scary thing. Is Chet Holmgren was arguably their best player for the first 10 games of the season. What he did defensively, both ways, spaces the floor, plays hard, defends the rim, can run a fast break, can run your offense. That dude might be coming back in a few weeks. And so whatever hope you had of catching OKC goes out the window if Chet Holmgren comes back and they're full squad. Like full squad, no one's touching him. I don't think Cleveland is. I don't think Boston is. Full squad, I think OKC runs through the NBA Finals in the same way that, Golden State, when Steph Curry was, turning the corner under Steve Kerr, and just everyone in retrospect was like, oh yeah, how did we not see this coming? I think that's the OKC Thunder this year. They're blowing teams out this year. by such a margin that if it held for a full season, it would be the greatest regular season by point differential in NBA history. So, I mean, it just seems inevitable to me. I know that they didn't get even to the conference finals last year, but I just think OKC's so good on both ends of the floor, and if Chet Holmgren comes back, it's a wrap. I'm sorry, Spence. It's a wrap, and that's why Utah – it's smart to punt on this season because I don't think anyone's going to beat OKC this year in the Western Conference, and Cooper Flagg is on the other side of that, and I think he's worth tanking for.
Tom, where can people go find your work?
TomTheFinder.com. Have that Lamar Jackson post right there, and a New York Knicks post about how crazy the minutes are under Tom Thibodeau for that starting five. It's historic what we're seeing from that starting five and how many minutes Tibbs is playing those guys. Yahoo Sports, KOC show last week, and the Big Number podcast, and, of course, Basketball Illuminati every Wednesday on the Count the Dings Network.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the time. Have a good week. We'll chat soon.
You got it, Spence.
All right, the great Tom Haber Show, a little NBA on a Monday afternoon. We're going to bring in Josh Furlong. Josh was in the building for Utah's win over BYU. That comes your way coming up next, but we're live at the Warehouse today at 1825 South 300 West. Now, here's the deal. If you are in the market for a mattress or any type of bedding, a base, and you've been waiting, you win. I lose because I did it a couple of months ago. And Vidal, the store manager, is stopping by with a bunch of awesome deals. We're saving people a grip of money for excellent mattresses and bases, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, that's –
My bad. Go ahead. You're
yes,
good.
sir. I mean, that's what we do. And let me tell you, the deals, they're going to keep coming and coming. I mean, like I said before, we got mattresses, we got sofas, love seats, sectionals. I mean, lamps, rugs, whatever you want. We can definitely get you go ahead and get you set on something. I mean, if you buy a new house, of course, what do you need in a house? You need mattresses, you need sofas and that. Now, talking about sofas, let me tell you what we have. We have a crazy, crazy deal going on. So right now, just right behind you, you can see the sectional right there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 piece. So this is going to be a 6-piece sectional. Both of the ends, they're going to be recliners. These are going to be power recliners. You have the body motion. You have the headrest that actually moves up and down as well. You know, whenever you recline, you don't need a pillow. You just go ahead and move the headrest, and it actually go ahead and puts it nice for you. This one is going to be, this is a 4th-generation microfiber. This company is actually based from Texas. Really, really good company. You know, something made here in the U.S., of course. You know, it's definitely going to last. It's well built. So it's very, very nice. This one actually comes with 6 pieces, like I said, and also comes with a middle console. You can go ahead and put your cup holders. You have USB port chargers inside. That one's going to be right next to you right there. You have the storage. And then on the end, where the recliners are, you also got cup holders right there.
Nice.
So in total, you got 4 cup holders whenever you're watching the games. I mean, more than anything, you got to be relaxing to be watching the games, you know, in the basement and all this. Now, let me tell you about the value of this. Now, this is a crazy value. Before I tell you the value of this, just remember, we're the Warehouse in Salt Lake City. We're located in 1825 South 300 West. Thank you so much for telling the address. We appreciate you, man.
Of course.
Now, if you have questions, you can actually go ahead and call us. You can text us, 801-467-2202. We're more than happy to get you any answers. Again, 801-467-2202. You can call or text. Now, let me tell you the best part of this. The value of this sectional by itself is $3,600.
Okay.
Now, let's play a game. How much you think it is?
So the value is $3,600.
$3,600. I know you see something right there.
Okay.
You see the price.
Okay. So
but that's not a radio special though.
So the first couple of hits, you've blown me away with your mattress deals. So I feel like I should guess low. $3,600. I'm going to say you're going to offer it for $2,800.
Well, that's actually a really good price, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it for $1,799.
Come on.
I'm going to do that section, the one that you see right there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The one that is very comfortable. The one that is valued at $3,600, man.
$1,700.
Made here in the U.S. of A. I'm doing it for $1,799.
And your boss is okay with this?
I hope he's not listening to this, but let me end how he ends. $3,600. I'm going to give it to you for $1,799.
Wow.
Boom. There you go.
Love it.
Boom.
Love it. Okay.
You got it.
Vidal, you're the man. Come on by and say hi. I mean, sofas, mattresses, I don't know how you have access to, or permission to make these deals. I wish I would have known I was coming down here because I also bought a new couch a few months ago and spent a cool $4,000. So come on by at 1825 South, 300 West. If you have questions, give them a call at 801-467-2202. Vidal, you're the man. We'll chat a bit, okay?
Thank you.
So come on by and say what's up. All right, we'll catch a quick break. Coming up on the other side, we're going to bring in Josh Furlong, who was in the building at the Huntsman Center to watch Utah beat BYU. We're going to talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Scott Mitchell stops by. Rick Neuheisel stops by. We're going to say goodnight at 5:30. About 2 hours from right now, it's the kickoff of the College Football National Championship. And you'll hear it right here on your home of all the best college football and NFL games in the market. It's ESPN 700. All right, live today at the warehouse. Come on by and say hi. The address is 1825 South, 300 West. Phone number is 801-467-2202. Sofas, mattresses, bases, you name it, anything you need for your home. They've slashed prices, and I'm partially upset that I didn't know about this because I bought a bunch of stuff for my house a few months ago and spent way too much money, apparently. So come on by and say hi. We'd love to meet you and say hello. We are going to bring in Scott Mitchell today to talk a little Utah football. Then Rick Neuheisel stops by for a preview of tonight's college football national championship. You can hear the game on our station. We're going to say goodnight at 5:30. But we'll do some Utes now with our buddy Josh Furlong from KSL, who was in the building on Saturday night to watch Utah beat BYU. Josh, happy Monday, buddy. How we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Spence?
I'm well. I appreciate your time today. So let's start with the atmosphere. I got to say, and Craig said after the game, fans impact winning. And, I was a student there in the 90s, late 90s, when the head coach was a guy named Rick Majerus. And I think, Josh, from my vantage point, that was the first time I've been to a game that kind of felt like the old days. So we'll get to the game, but what'd you make of what I perceived to be a really fun atmosphere at the Huntsman Center on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, for Utah, that was one of the best crowds they'd had in a long time. It was, a lot of people worried that BYU fans are going to come buy all the tickets because they were expected to do well and everything that way. But, kudos to the students that came up. I mean, that was probably the biggest student section that I've seen in quite some time, probably dating back to maybe those Arizona UCLA days, and Utah was pretty competitive with them. But it was just a good, raucous environment, and I think they really impacted the way that Utah was able to play. And I think that's the way it should be, right? Fans impact the way winning and giving momentum and everything. And sure, the product on the court has to kind of match that to an extent, but I think they've really been able to blend that lately, and you're starting to see maybe people buying in a little bit more.
So the question is, how much of it had to do with BYU being in town? How much of it had to do with Utah winning a couple of straight games? Was there something that was different about the promotion, the game ops? I mean, look, the bottom line is, as I've talked about for years, to give any Utah coach a fair fighting chance, the fans have to show up because kids want to play in front of people. And if a recruit comes to the Huntsman Center and there are 750 people there spread out all over the place, it's going to be tough to attract good players, high-end talent. The best thing this community can do if they want Utah basketball to be good again is to make Saturday night the reality every night. Do you think that's a realistic expectation now?
I mean, I think it's getting there, right? I think you're absolutely right, though. I mean, the fact that, football is able to have so many sellouts, that absolutely buys into some of what Utah's success has been, right? Players come to those games, they come to the environment, and they see it. The gymnastics, you've got sellout crowds every single night. With basketball, you've had that, but in recent, it hasn't been able to be there, and I think it does go hand in hand with what is there. And I've been impressed with the crowd since Utah, started conference play. Big 12 play has been much more improved. There's been much more fans. I mean, it's nothing like it was with BYU. That's always going to be a big draw, and obviously that's going to get more of a sellout. But I have been impressed that people are showing up a little bit more. I think they're starting to realize that, they impact winning to an extent. Outside of Saturday, though, I mean, the student section still hasn't been that great. And then to me, if you're going to Utah, I don't understand why you're not there. What else are you doing? You've either got, homework or something else. There's no reason not to go to those games and show out. So to me, that's still kind of the piece that's lacking, and I think those are the ones that are going to be more raucous and spirited. The older people that are sitting there just looking to have a good time with the season tickets, they're not necessarily the ones that are going to be kind of riled up. So it's getting there, but I still think they have a long ways to go.
So let's dig into the game for a little bit here, Josh. I mean, I don't know that there would be anybody out there who would debate that BYU has not just superior talent on paper, but like far superior talent on paper. The last Jonathan Givony mock draft has Yegor Demin as a top 7 prospect. Camden Catchings, a lot of people believe, is a first-round kid as well. I believe, I know the reports are out there that Yegor is a 7-figure NIL kid, and I think Cannon is as well. And we don't even have to stop there. Mark Pope badly wanted Richie Saunders and Dallin Hall to go to Kentucky. Foose has been around forever, and he's really, really good. And I'm not saying Craig doesn't have horses. I'm saying I don't believe he has the horses Kevin does. So That, to me, was a very, very well-coached game by Craig Smith, and players certainly deserve some credit for making timely plays. But what do you most attribute Utah's win to on Saturday night?
I think it's mostly coming down to them realizing that the way that they're going to be able to compete in the Big 12 is they have to play as a team. They don't have a guy that is necessarily going to go hero ball or go ISO on some guy. You know, Gabe Madsen's probably been your closest to that in the past, especially with his spot-up shooting. But Utah has to be a team to be able to win these games, and you saw that in these last three games, especially that TCU game on the road. I mean, they were passing the ball at an elite level. They were doing things that allowed them to be able to just really take advantage of their teamwork and move together. It started out that way at the beginning of the season, and you can argue, you know, that's non-conference play, and you're playing teams in like the 300s RPI type levels. But you saw some chemistry. It kind of started to fall away for a long time, and you're starting to get that now. They don't have those players that you're talking about, right? Like Demon is you know, we'll see if he's able to go into the draft this year. I mean, I think the Utah game is just one example of kind of him not living up to expectations recently. But clearly they have far more talent on paper. But I think the big advantage for Utah is they're finding ways to get guys to believe. They're finding ways to be able to play as a team. And then when you do have somebody that goes off like an Ezra Asar, you know, it makes it so much easier to just keep feeding him. And then if he's not working, then you can pass it out to somebody else. It's become much more of a team mentality with the running Utes. You know, it's kind of embodies Craig's atmosphere where he's not always going to be able to get the top end guys, you know, whether it was at Utah State or other places, but he's going to find a way to make you play as a team and do well. And when teams buy into his strategy, it generally works well. He's had a winning strategy, and I think you're starting to see that. So, you know, for their sake, for Craig's sake, in terms of his tenure at Utah, you have to hope that that's kind of catching on and that they can continue to fight that. But this road's not going to be easy in the Big 12.
So after the game, Craig was emotional when asked about Ezra Asar, and you wrote on it. And I got to say, man, I was wildly impressed with that kid because Kevin Young tried everybody. The only player who had a little bit of success was actually Kay Bakeda, but, you know, Ezra was taking Traore to school, and he was Josh, he's listed at 6'8". Give me a break. He might be 6'5". There's no way he's 6'8". There's a little like Adrian Dantley for you old school NBA Jazz fans, or like a Larry Johnson in New York after he injured his back in Charlotte, because it's footwork, it's pump fakes. He can finish with the right hand, with the left hand, and BYU couldn't do anything with him. So what stood out most to you about his performance, how he's played over the past few weeks, and what should Ute fans know as to why Craig appeared to be emotional when asked about Ezra after the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that didn't really start playing basketball until his junior or senior year of high school. And so he's still relatively new to basketball and obviously has some God-given talent in his ability. But, you know, there's a lot there where he's still trying to be able to understand that he can do things, right? He's learning confidence in himself. I don't know all the inner workings of what's going on in his life. Obviously, he had a death in the family recently that's impacting him. But there's other things that I think is more just kind of on the human side in terms of just being able to believe that you can be there, right? You know, it's that imposter syndrome that we all face sometimes where it's like, am I really living it, you know, am I really this good, or is it, you know, just happenstance type stuff? But I think with him, you know, when he starts to believe in himself, he's a completely different player, and he can impact winning in a large way, as you saw. You know, I mean, his head fakes, you know, pump fakes, whatever he was doing was just absolutely destroying BYU, and they had no answer for it. And then he found a way to be able to draw contacts to be able to send him to the free throw line, and he's improved at the free throw line. But if not, he was either able to get an easy dunk or he was able to get a nice layup. I mean, you know, he's a big guy, like you said. He's not 6'8", I don't think, you know, but he's much more wiry than somebody like a Fuseni, that he should be able to not have that kind of ability to be able to do that, and nothing was stopping him, right? And I think that's the fun thing that you can see with him is when you get a guy that can start to believe in himself, and sometimes this happens in college, sometimes it happens in, you know, high school ranks or, you know, wherever it is, then it starts to change their game. They start to believe in themselves, and I think that really unlocks kind of a guy's potential. I really think that's where he's at. You know, Craig's a big believer in guys unlocking their potential. You know, he's very invested into these guys. As much as you want to say, you know, it's the NIL era and transfer portal era, and he's just trying to fill a roster, Craig deeply cares about these people, and he cares very much so about Ezra and seeing him as a human being. And so I think all of that kind of just combined on Saturday, and it just was this perfect storm for him, obviously, to get the win, but him just to be able to showcase his skills and say that he can actually do it on the floor.
So I know this is going to sound weird, but I didn't think Gabe was that bad. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so Gabe Madsen, 2 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 11 from 3. He had 4 boards, he had 3 assists, he had 3 turnovers, only 8 points. And Gabe is, in my opinion, the most important player on this team from an offensive standpoint. But I want to give BYU a lot of credit because they played him really well. Mawot Mag started out on him. Dawson Baker had some minutes. Richie Saunders had some minutes. But they were gapping him. They were blitzing him off every single screen, whether it was a baseline screen, a down screen. There were 2 players on him as soon as he was coming off screens. He didn't have space. But he was, for the most part, intelligent with his decision-making and allowed for some open space for other players. And I wondered if Craig was going to put Hunter Erickson in, because all they needed was somebody to be able to knock down some shots with the gravity that Gabe was mandating, because there were open looks. And I was really happy for Hunter. Obviously, he's a former BYU kid who hit 2 massive threes. They do not win that basketball game without Hunter Erickson. But give me your take on how Utah was able to utilize kind of the attention BYU gave Gabe to open up the lanes for Ezra and Lawson, and then your thoughts on Hunter coming in and knocking down some really big shots.
Yeah, first off, I'll touch on Hunter. I mean, those were clutch shots. I mean, in overtime especially, him being able to hit that deep 3, that changed the entire tone of that arena, right? He hits that, suddenly Utah has life again, and then it was even possible for him to be able to have those free throws. The fact that he airballed 1 and then still managed to go to the line the next time and drain both of them, I mean, a gutsy play for a guy that a lot of people have kind of cast off. That's another guy that, he was in the starting unit at BYU, but then had to kind of go to SLCC to kind of refigure himself out. And he's been able to develop and become a key piece to Utah. He's not always your starter. He's not always the guy that's going to, need his minutes, but he's a guy that is the glue guy, the guy that comes in and says, I'll do whatever you need me to do and do it. So on his, kudos to him because he's been a phenomenal asset for Utah. But on that same vein, Gabe has as well, right? He's obviously been in a shooting slump, and it's very tough for shooters to be in a shooting slump, right? But at the same time, like I've seen on Twitter, people are like, we need to bench him. He needs to not be on the floor anymore. But the reason that you spelled out exactly is that he draws people away. He provides that spacing. And in college, you don't get a ton of spacing like you do in the pros. And so the more that he can do to just spread the floor out and stretch it out a little bit to allow somebody like a Lawson Lovering or an Ezra Assar or Keanu Dawes or any of these guys to be able to work in the post, it's because of him. Because they know that the second they decide to not respect him and they pay too much attention into that post game, he's going to stand out there and pop off a shot, and one of those is going to fall in these times. And I think that's the benefit that Utah has right here. Maybe teams start to relax on Gabe a little bit as they start seeing somebody like a Lawson work or an Ezra work, and they really have to respect that post game. But Utah's done a good job of being able to develop itself where they can be an inside-out game. They can do whatever they need to, where you can go into the post and feed that and be able to hit at a consistent level there. But if they decide to take that away, you do have shooters. Maybe it is Hunter. Maybe it's Gabe. His brother Mason hasn't been able to see the floor as much lately. But somebody like Gabe, even though his numbers have not been great, and I know that's frustrating to him, if anything, he's becoming a decoy to be able to spread the floor. And if he gets the opportunity to shoot it, he's going to shoot it. And, generally he's going to make it. It's just been a tough stretch for him. And when those start falling, you hope that it's like in March. Hopefully it's before then. But, Utah hopes that he'll continue to be in that mix. And once that does, they become a very deadly team, especially if they can get both of those games inside out working.
Okay, Josh, let's get weird. Let's get weird on a Monday, all right? Utah picked to finish last in the Big 12. And as we learned during football season, when I believe Arizona State was picked to finish last in the Big 12, we don't know a damn thing. And we're all just guessing. That's why I try to diagnose, not prognosticate, because it's impossible. What are you willing to say if you open up that Josh Furlong imagination about what you believe Utah's chances are in this conference this year? And do you think they could make the NCAA tournament? What are your thoughts?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Man, I think they're going to have to be able to steal some of these games that they have upcoming, a Houston or a Baylor game. That Baylor game at home, that's a real possibility that you could steal and give you a real shot of kind of some life. But as we've learned in any sport, the team that gets hot at the right time is going to be able to do it. So I wouldn't necessarily count Utah out. I think if they can continue to stay engaged the way that they have been, there's a shot. But outside of going on a massive streak of winning, their best shot has honestly got to be at the conference tournament, where you just hit the right teams, you play right on the right days, and be able to win in that large bid that way. I don't know. I think the odds are still against them. I think they're at this point still an NIT level team, but the last 3 games have shown that they can do it, right? You can go to TCU, a place that teams just don't win. No Big 12 team has beaten TCU in Fort Worth this year except for Utah. They can do it, right? This is a team that can contend with Iowa State. They've done it. They just haven't been able to finish or put it together consistently. So I'm willing to go and stretch my neck out and say that there is a possibility. I don't think the dream is dead by any means, but I still think there's so much that has to go that even isn't in their control for them to be able to make it. But the fact that you can even be in that conversation is at least a good thing.
For sure. Josh, thanks for the time, brother. Have a great week, and we'll get you back on soon, okay?
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Josh Furlong covers University of Utah for KSL. The Utes were able to get that win over BYU coming up. BYU on Saturday. But coming up, we have some breaking news. The Utah-Houston game has been postponed to Wednesday nights. So Utah-Houston men's basketball, scheduled originally for tomorrow, has been postponed due to severe weather in the area. The game has been rescheduled for Wednesday, January 22nd at 4 o'clock Mountain Time, which means our show on Wednesday is going to be short at the Fertitta Center. In addition, the Texas Tech, you don't give a rip about that. Utah-Houston has been postponed. All right, we're live today at the Warehouse, 1825 South, 300 West. Come on by and say hello. And Vidal, the store manager, rolls in once again. Did you just make some business happen?
I did. I just closed 2 other deals.
That a
Thanks to
boy.
you guys. Well, thank you guys for helping us out.
Okay, which deal did they pick? Which did they go with?
The first one, it was some mattresses, and they got the free pillows.
Nice.
You saw them.
I did.
We give them the free pillows. We actually honor what we say. So we give them the free pillows, and we have somebody else coming to pick up their other deal, which is going to be exactly the same thing that we're going to be talking about. California King mattresses.
Now you're misbehaving.
California King mattresses, guys. Now you guys better be sitting down for this. I'm glad you're sitting down because you're going to love this.
I'm
deal,
ready.
Man.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Let me tell you. California King mattresses, they're 72 by 84. Okay, California King mattresses are usually for a little bit taller people. They're a little bit hard to find, but because they're hard to find, people actually overprice this.
Mm-hmm.
Not here at the Warehouse in Salt Lake City. Now, let me tell you, we have this special. We're going to call it the California King Base and Mattresses. California King Base and Mattress. The base. What is the base? It's going to be an adjustable base. It's going to come with a head up and a foot up, the one that I previously showed you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be from the same brand. Head up, foot up comes with a vibration system. We call it the massage. Comes with a flat button. That way you can just press and you go flat again. Comes with USB chargers. We have another happy customers leaving the store right
Love
now.
it. It's great. Big smiles on it. You're saving people a grip of money, man. You are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
On this one, they come with the USB port chargers as well. And one of the questions that we get a lot, do we deliver and set up? Yes, sir. We also do that. Okay, just want to go ahead and bring that up. Now, these bases, like I said, comes with all this. We have 3 different models of mattresses that you can choose from. Unfortunately, I'm not available to say the brand of these ones, but they're going to be very high-end mattresses.
Love it.
These are the ones that everybody knows about. We call them the 3 S's. The blank, blank, blank. Okay, that's
You can probably guess what they are.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. Everybody sells this. But these ones, they're actually hybrids. Pillow tops, non-pillow tops. We have some that they're going to be memory foam gel infused. We have the ones that come with wrapped coils. So whenever you're moving, your partner doesn't feel you. So it's not going to be kind of like a ocean wave. No, not at all. As soon as you move, the partner won't feel you, so you can just roll off the bed and do whatever you want. Not a problem. So on this one, let me tell you the value and the price. Now, I'm excited, man. As you can tell, I'm excited, man.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm.
I'm excited about the prices that we have because there's a lot of people that come in and they're like, you know what, I want this. They come straight up. You're like, I heard you in the radio. This is what I want. And that's what we're going to give. The value of this is $6,600.
Ooh.
Bases. Like I said, it comes with 2 bases. We sync them together. You get one wireless control. It's going to be a head-up, foot-up massage. And you have 3 different mattresses to choose from. They're not going to be cheap mattresses. They're going to be good ones. 1825 South, 300 West. Okay, value $6,600. Let's play another game. Let's put a good price. Let's put a good price on this. Where do you want it to be?
$6,600 is
Yes,
the
sir.
value.
Now remember, comes with the bases.
Yeah.
And it comes with a mattress. 3 different mattresses to choose from. And you know what? Let's do the free pillows as well.
And free pillows.
Let's do the 2 free pillows.
Vidal,
Let's
you're
do
misbehaving
2 free
now.
pillows, man. Let's do it.
All right.
This is a special holiday. Let's do it, man. 2 free pillows.
Can you get us down to $5,000?
No. I can get you less than that.
What?
Let's keep going.
Are you okay here? Are you again? I don't want you to lose
I'm
your job.
good. I'm
okay,
good.
$6,600 value.
Yes, sir.
Can you get us down to $4,000?
I don't like it. Let's go down.
You can't get us down to $3,000.
I don't like it. Let's keep going down.
What? Stop it.
Let's keep going. I don't like it.
Can you get us to $2,500?
I don't like it. Let's keep going down.
Can you get us to $2,000?
I don't like it.
What do you? $6,600 value.
Yes, sir.
$1,500.
$1,399.
I don't believe you.
$1,399. I'm doing bases, adjustable bases with mattress, and we're not talking about cheap mattresses that you find out around the corner.
Yeah.
These are really high value mattresses.
You're blown away, but Vidal, I have bad news because we have to welcome in Tom. We have to welcome in the owner of the warehouse here who now joins us. Tom, happy Monday, sir. I don't know how much have you heard of that deal, but I want to make sure my guy Vidal, his job is safe.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Good job, Vidal. What a great day to do that.
Okay. Before I set you loose, Tom, anything else you'd like to add to, add some color and context to, and Vidal's doing a great job.
Spence, it's nice to hear your voice. As you probably have heard, I've just had a double lung transplant surgery, and Vidal is doing a great job there today.
Thank you,
and
boss.
I want to add one thing to it. Financing. If
yes.
you are beat up about your credit, come in. It doesn't matter. We're going to get you financing. We can do 100 days, same as cash, with no interest. Same as cash, 100 days. No job won't get you approved, but if you've got a job and a driver's license, we'll get you approved.
Excellent, Tom. We'll set you loose, but thank you so much for your time, and we're having a great time out here. You have a great spot, and Vidal's the man, okay?
Thanks, Spence.
Okay, Vidal, we'll chat soon. Come on by. They're blowing out inventory. I hate to keep repeating this. I'm kind of pissed off. I basically bought everything I needed for my house a few months ago, and apparently I spent way too much money. $6,600 value for a California King, 2 bases for $1,300. Free pillows as well. So come on by, 1825 South, 300 West. It's 1825 South, 300 West. We hit you with a lot of info, so if you want to call and ask questions, do that at 801-467-2202. All right, 2 hours down, about 90 minutes left as we're going to say goodnight in time for a college football national championship game. Scott Mitchell, Rick Neuheisel, that's your 4 o'clock hour on a Monday right here on ESPN 700. All right, live today at the Warehouse, 1825 South, 300 West. Incredible deals on sofas, mattresses, bases. Come on by. My guy Vidal is going to take care of you. It's 1825 South, 300 West. The phone number is 801-467-2202. Rick Neuheisel is our guest. Coming up in just a little bit to preview tonight's national championship game. We're going to say goodnight in time for that. So at 5:30, it's time for Notre Dame and Ohio State. But our next guest, good enough to join us from time to time when he's not traveling the world or hanging out with kids he went to high school with that turned into serial killers. It's a real thing. Scott Mitchell on a Monday. Scott, happy Monday. How we doing?
I'm doing awesome. That's a great introduction right there. You know, listening to that commercial, it's like, why would you ever turn off ESPN 700? I mean, you could catch all the games. You should listen all the time. You get Sean O'Connell. Come on, people, listen all the time. That's what I have to say.
Scott Mitchell, who apparently has been hired as our general sales manager, joins the show today. You're not wrong, Scott. I appreciate the pub, and of course, everyone wants to listen when you're on the show. But here's my question, Scott Mitchell, right out of the gates. Detroit Lions fans, on a Monday after that loss where a lot of people thought they were going to be right in the mix to win the entire thing. You played pro ball for Detroit at a very high level. I would just wonder what your take is. And I love the Jaden Daniels story. And Washington hasn't been in the conference title game in 33 years. But, if you're a Lions fan, you finally had it. Everything was in place. You were relatively healthy, and the wheels fell off. Some injuries defensively. But what do you think that community is like on this Monday afternoon, Scott?
My heart goes out to all those people. And if I wanted to see something in sports ever happen, it was the Detroit Lions winning a Super Bowl simply for their fans. They really are some of the best fans in the world in the sense that they are so loyal to this team. I mean, this team's not any good, and folks still show up, and they're lifers. These are lifelong Lions fans. They've worn the badge of futility for so long. And it just felt like it was going to be their time, and love the coach and what he's doing, and just the nucleus of players. You just pull for him. Pull for Jared Goff and just, want him to do well, and just so many good things there. It was crushing, but it really brings to light something that's a brutal truth about the NFL, and that's it's hard to win. It's hard to win in the playoffs. It's hard to win a Super Bowl, and so you see people like Tom Brady do it 7 times. You understand that a lot of luck gets involved in that, but also, man, they're really good, and they're really good teams to be able to do that. You're seeing that to some degree with the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's just a hard thing, and part of it that makes it hard, Spence, is they only have one game. Like, it's every week is do or die. You don't get a reset, you don't get a do-over. It's sudden death elimination every week, and it's the brutal reality and the harshness of professional football, but also what makes it so compelling and so intriguing. You tune in because you just see how that pressure of having that you're done and you're out does to people, and it impacts people in different ways, which is why Jaden Daniels is so freaking amazing. What that guy's doing, like, he must have like something in his brain that doesn't work, and it's that fear, it's that pressure button or something, because a rookie should not be playing like that. Not only in the playoffs all season long, he's just been incredible.
He has, and let me follow up, because Scott, we had him out in this direction. Jaden Daniels was a Pac-12 kid, and I'll just speak for myself. When I'd watch him at ASU, I'm like, man, he's fun, he's dynamic, he's talented. But I mean, come on, like, I don't think even the most ardent Jaden Daniels fans would tell you they saw this coming. But I cheer, as I often say, whenever anybody asks me, like, who do you cheer for to win? I say all the local teams, and then I just cheer for stories. And I'm here for this Jaden Daniels story as they're taking on Philly now, coming up for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. What are you most impressed about the way Jaden Daniels has been able to traverse this rookie experience in pro football?
He had committed to Utah.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, he was committed to Utah, and Herm Edwards came in kind of at a late date and swooned him away. And I think part of the intrigue because this is part of my answer to your question. Part of the intrigue was I feel like Herm Edwards can get me to the NFL. And I think Jaden Daniels, and he talks about it, that he saw himself as this kind of player when he was a young kid, and his whole thing was about playing great in the NFL. And he said, I could go to Utah, and how many, they're not a hotbed for quarterbacks per se, but I could go to Arizona State, where I've got a coach who did coach in the NFL, who did play in the NFL. And then when that fell apart, he goes, I'm going to go to the Big Ten. He has a chance to go to LSU. So he's had this willingness to do whatever it took, to go wherever he needed to go, to get himself in the right position to be able to play at a high level, because he was exceptional at LSU. And I think that move to LSU was that thing that really kind of put him over the top. And and then on top of it, and this is the biggest thing I think of all, Spence, of anyone, like, this whole Shadur Sanders and so does he go with Dion, where does he go kind of thing. Jaden Daniels went to a coach, went to a system that was like built for quarterbacks, and Cliff Kingsbury done a phenomenal job for a long time. If you're a young quarterback, it's like, I want to go where that guy. I don't want to go. Any coach that's a defensive-minded coach, I don't want to go there. Don't put me there. Don't let me go there. I'll retire before I ever start kind of mindset. And Jaden Daniels really lucked into the right coach at the right time to fit who he is. And they've done a beautiful job of really accentuating what he can really do. And, I mean, he's consistently done it all season long.
He has. All right, it was inevitable that the sports media news cycle was going to contain a lot of Lamar just cannot do this come playoff time content. And I had to, at some point, turn it off because it just gets so – Scott, I do not think wins and losses are a quarterback stat. That's my opinion. But having said that, the record is what it is. That looked like a very cold and challenging place to try to play quarterback. And the other team has Josh Allen, and they're pretty good. So what's fair to say today on this Monday – after the Ravens and the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson once again are ousted early on in the postseason?
When you have two players, you have two teams that are competing at a high level, every little play, every moment matters. And with the turnovers and the drop passes in the critical times, the teams that win, they find a way to get it done at the end of the game. They find a way to close it out and win it. And you have to. It's just a learned thing. I mean, Peyton Manning, I think, the first 5 years he was in the playoffs, he really struggled. And there's a lot of guys who've been really good that haven't been amazing in the playoffs. And then you have some other guys that kind of do a better job. So I agree with you in that wins and losses and playoffs and Super Bowls really shouldn't account for the greatness of a quarterback for sure. But because I love Lamar Jackson, and I think he put him in a position in a tough environment, in tough playing conditions, to tie the game. And he throws a nice touchdown pass late, and the guy drops the ball. The same guy fumbles the ball earlier as they're moving in to score. And that's not on Lamar Jackson. I mean, he was there. He was a guy that was present when the game was on the line. He didn't fold. He didn't crumble from it. He did what he had to do to put him in a position to win the game. If I'm a coach, Spence, and I got a chance to have Lamar Jackson on my team, I raised both my hands. I said, yes, yes, yes. I love the guy, and I think he's done an exceptional job of becoming a multi-dimensional player. He really throws the ball a lot better than he did in the past, but he's just this elite runner as well. And so I like his game. I like it a lot, and he'll just keep playing. He'll eventually get this off his back, and who cares? He's a great talent. I don't know why people are ragging on him.
Scott, as a Jets fan, I'd trade the Statue of Liberty for Lamar Jackson. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know what that would do for the Ravens, but no, to your point, yeah, like you take him on your team every time. All right, let's move over now. Actually, no, I wanted to ask you about Chiefs-Texans. The narrative seems to be after a really strong rookie season, C.J. Stroud has kind of come back down to earth. Is that fair? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, because he was, the same thing with Jaden Daniels, and I'm just going to go back to what I said in the beginning. It's hard to win. I remember one of the first things that Dan Marino ever told me, and it just really stuck with me. He said, I went to the Super Bowl my second year. And he goes, I had this unbelievable season. He set this record back in 1990 or 1984. It was insane what he was doing throwing the football then. And they just march through everyone, go to the Super Bowl, and they get trounced by the 49ers. But he goes, we thought we would be back to the Super Bowl every year after that. Like and every year he never ever got back again. And he was a tremendous player. And I really like C.J. Stroud. I've liked him when he played Utah in the Rose Bowl. I just was very impressed with how he threw the ball, and I just really liked his game. But every season is just it's its own thing, and you can't live on what happened in the past. You have to find a way to evolve your game, because those coaches sit in those rooms, Spence. They sit in the dark for hours and they go, how do we beat this guy? What's his weakness? What can we do to just really mess with him? And Bill Belichick is a master at all that stuff. And until you can adjust your game and kind of figure it out and evolve, and things have to bounce right, it's really hard. So I'm not down on C.J. Stroud. I'm not surprised that this has happened. The NFL is cruel. It is a hard business to win and to be consistently good for a long period of time. It speaks volumes of a player and their ability, and of course the team that they're on.
We've got Conference Championship Sunday coming up, and at this point, I'm not going to doubt Washington. Like I said, 33 years since their last NFC Championship appearance. Philly's getting 5.5 as far as the spread goes. We don't really have an accurate forecast, but it's Philadelphia in January, so I'm sure it won't be awesome. Like I said, it's hard to pick against them. Do you think this magical run continues, or do you like Philly?
Well, here's one of the things that's really good about Jaden Daniels and why he's having success is mechanically he's really sound. So his throwing motion holds up like in pressure situations. Think of it like a free throw shooter. You got someone with just a nice stroke, and in pressure situations, it just doesn't crumble. But you get a guy who's kind of got bad form, and it's just accentuated when he's at the line, and even if there's more pressure on. So that mechanically sound motion allows for him to be pretty consistent throwing the football, and especially in pressure situations. I'm just telling you, he's just got a demeanor. He's got a mindset. It would be hard to bet against him. But, folks, these two teams have played each other twice this year. This will be the third time. So he's not going to be unfamiliar to the Philadelphia Eagles. And vice versa. These teams know each other well, and they're going to know probably better than anyone how to prepare for and how to eliminate, some of these successes or comfort, plays that he's had. And so it's a tough thing. It's really hard to predict things when you've played each other, 2 or 3 times in a year.
And then the afternoon game, of course, everyone's going to be talking about this for the second straight year. We're going to see the Bills and the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and the winner will advance to the Super Bowl. I don't know, Scott. I'll cede to you because you played and you're the expert here. It just feels like it's Josh's time to me, but I could be wrong because Kansas City just finds a way to figure it out week in and week out. But who do you like in the afternoon tilt at Arrowhead?
Well, it's so hard because I feel like Kansas City's been living on borrowed time all this year, and there are kind of there's a statement or a thought process where it takes a little bit more time to win before you should, and then you win a little bit after you shouldn't, just because you're so experienced and you're just so savvy as a team. And that kind of feels like where Kansas City is right now. They feel like they're an injury or just a bump and a bruise away from kind of falling off the cliff. It's hard. No one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, which tells you how hard that is. So I kind of tend to agree with you. I just feel like this is Josh Allen's year. He's a guy that's evolved and learned how to win, and learned how to kind of modify his game and manage, kind of how much and when he runs, which is, I think, a good thing, because I think he's relatively healthy at this time of year. And he's a guy that's, not uncomfortable going into that environment. He's been there before and played well. And I don't think the Buffalo Bills are unfamiliar with that environment either. But it feels like it's his year, but man, don't count out Patrick Mahomes.
You're not wrong there. All right, before Set You Lose, national championship, college football national championship. It's on our radio station. It kicks off in exactly 1 hour and 8 minutes. Ohio State is getting 9 points. Scott, can Notre Dame make this a fair fight?
I don't really think so, personally. I think Ohio State is clearly the better team. I think they're a team that's ready to win. I think they have more talent just across the board as a team, both on offense and defense. And I think winning and having a playoff format like this has kind of been a good thing for Ryan Day, where he doesn't have the pressure of winning the Big 12 championship, and so having an expanded playoff, I think, gave them a little bit of a mulligan, because and I think playing, it appeared the teams that played more and didn't have the bye actually did better in the playoffs, and that doesn't mean it's going to be that way. I think every year will be different, but I love the playoff format. I love, what it's brought to the table, and I'm actually glad these two teams are playing, and but I think Ohio State's the better team.
I'm with you, Scott. Thank you for your time today, buddy. Have a great week. Enjoy the game tonight, and then hopefully we can get you soon, okay?
All right, look forward to it. Thanks, Mitch.
All right, Scott Mitchell, one of the best to ever do it at the University of Utah, played in the NFL for the Detroit Lions and some other teams as well. Appreciate his time. All right, we're live at the Warehouse. Rick Neuheisel is going to join us to preview tonight's game. Warehouse is 1825 South, 300 West. We are moving product. We are making people happy. We are saving people money, Vidal, aren't we? Yes, is that true?
We are definitely, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen people coming in and out.
It's great.
Everybody's living with stuff.
Now, are you going to blow my mind again this segment with the new deal?
Get ready, man.
You know what?
I'm excited, man.
Before you do that, let's review real quick.
Let's do it.
Before we get to the new deal, because I think we've had 5, and you blow my mind every segment. So let's review real quick what we've already talked about.
Yes, sir. So we started with twin-size mattresses, 8-inch memory foam, gel infused, $199. Value $1,200, and
Wild.
you get free pillows.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. We have a full-size, same mattress, 8-inch memory foam, gel infused. Full size. Of course, it's going to be bigger. You can get this for a spare bedroom, for your kids that are growing up, whatever. $200. And also comes with the free pillow. The sectional, $3,600 for $1,799.
That's a couch.
That's a couch. That's a
Yeah.
sectional, a 6-piece sectional, six seaters with 4 cup holders, power, 4th-generation microfiber, very easy to clean, very easy to maintain. Amazing deal. $1,799. The California King base, the one that you wanted to give away for $4,000. Come on, man.
That's the one I'm going to grab.
I mean,
I'm grabbing that.
$4,000. I mean, I feel hurt.
But the value is $6,600.
$6,600.
I thought $4,000 was a good deal, but
how about $1,399? It's a better deal.
I was way off.
$1,399. That's a better deal.
Yeah.
Now let's do something else.
All right.
This is something that I like to advertise. I love this. I love what I do. This is why we're in business for so long. This is why our customers can keep coming back and back all the time. Now this one, let me get ready for it. See, you see me.
You're making me nervous because I've been so bad at this so far.
So on this one, what we have, let's do the split king. So this is where you have a king size bed, and you split it right on half. This is what we call a split king. It's gonna come with 2 bases. It's gonna be a head up and a foot up with massage with the same brand that I showed you earlier. Everybody, these 2 bases are gonna come with their own wireless control, so you can go ahead and adjust your side. The spouse can adjust the other side as well. She wants to be a little bit higher than you, a little bit lower. She wants to grab the massage and everything. She can do it without bothering you. So let's do these bases. The bases by themselves, they retail at $4,000. The two bases. Now the mattresses. I have 12 different models of mattresses that I can show you guys. 12 different models. We have hybrids. Hybrids are going to be coils with different layers of memory foam and gel infused. So this is very, 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 very good mattresses. And I'm saying very because they're very good. Okay? 12 different models. You can combine them. You can buy one of them is going to be a little bit firmer than the other one. I mean, you can do whatever you want. 12 different models that I can do. On this one, I don't know if Tom is listening to this, man. I'm a little nervous too, man. I'm gonna blow you away.
I want you to keep your job as well.
Man, this deal right here, the bases alone, they're $4,000. Okay, bases alone. I'm gonna give you the bases and the mattresses, starting at $1,100. $1,100, man. That's more than 60% off on the bases by themselves, and you get everything with me.
Free pillows?
Let's do free pillows.
And
why
free
not,
pillows.
Man? Let's do free pillows.
Okay,
Don't forget the
I
pillows.
love it.
Now,
I love it.
we have this starting at $11.99. Okay. We have other mattresses as well. They're gonna be in higher quality, so we can start going higher in quality. Now I have this is one of the best deals that I have. Listen to this. This is a company, a very private label company. I'm not able to say the brand, unfortunately.
It's one of the big dogs. You know what it is.
Bigger than the ones that we talked even earlier.
Oh, nice.
Bigger than those. Okay. So this one, I can tell you the models. This is a company called, the models are called the Improved 3.0. This is going to be hybrids. This is going to be 16.5-inch memory foam gel infused memory foam with memory foam. Where you got your individual wrapped coils, and you got zone coils. So it means that you're going to have different pressures on different coils. This value, this I love it, man. Also comes with CBD oil infused inside the mattress, so you can actually sleep a little bit better.
Okay.
You know, a little bit better.
I like it.
So you adjust the height and everything, the massage and all that. Plus the CBD oil, you're gonna be out in no time. You're gonna be out in no time, that's for sure. So on this one, the value of this is $9,000. You buy this on. I just went online to search it up again. $9,000 plus delivery, plus the setup, plus the warranty, plus the sheets and all this. So in total, about $12,000. Let's leave it at that. Where do you want to be?
Oh man, I've been so bad at this so far. So I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess low, and I'm gonna guess.
Okay, let's get low. Guess a little bit low.
I'm gonna guess low and say 6,000. We're gonna slash it in half.
It's not 6,000. It's not 6,000. I don't like it 6,000. Let's go a little bit lower, man.
Slash 6.5 to 3.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
You're getting wild today.
Let's do this. I'm gonna give you that setup that I just talked to you about.
Yeah.
The really high private label company. 2 mattresses, 2 bases, wireless control, and this is what I'm gonna do. Check this out. From $9,000, all these includes mattresses, bases, wireless control. I'm gonna give you mattress protectors. I'm gonna give you sheets. I'm gonna give you, of course, the free pillows.
Gotta have the free pillows.
You gotta get the free pillows.
Gotta have the free pillows.
Delivery and setup. Delivery and setup alone is $300. I'm gonna give it all these for free. This is about $2,000 worth of free stuff. Okay.
Love it.
I want to put all of this. Let's do 36, man. $3,600.
$3,600 for a $12,000 value.
For everything, man.
That's wild.
And this is one of the best things also about this. I can deliver within 24 hours. We go anywhere in the state of Utah. We've gone to Wyoming. We've been to Idaho. We've been everywhere.
Let's get people in.
Let's get people in, guys. This is one of the best deals you're ever gonna hear. Boom, from the warehouse.
You are the man. That's Vidal. Stop by. Okay, here's the deal. That's an insane price. But, I mean, he's got a bunch of deals going on at the warehouse at 1825 South, 300 West. That's 1825 South, 300 West. If you have questions, call him 801-467-2202. All right, let's welcome in Ryan from The Dish Professionals. You can save money in the new year on your wireless bill, on your cable television, as well as your internet. Just dial 801-424-DISH. What's going on, Ryan? Oh, we lost Ryan. Give him a call. You'll save a grip of money. But
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, hey, Ryan. What's going on, buddy?
Sorry, I put my phone on mute. Hey, thanks so much for having me on. Vidal is awesome. I love listening to him talk. He's quite the salesperson.
Yes, he is.
That's a great place to visit too. I'll give them credit. I bought a ton of stuff from them. But guys,
Nice.
I'll tell you, keep it local. That's a good thing to do. Remember, you get the best customer service when you deal with people that are local, that care about you, and that's what we do. And here's the best thing: we get you the best prices. We hunt out the best offers. And guys, we have special capabilities that nobody else has now, where we can actually put in your name and address and see if Dish has a special offer for you. It goes on top of this cool offer with Dish where you get the 2 years worth of credits, prices guaranteed, movie channels, plus we'll throw in Netflix free for 2 years. This is the ad-free version too. This is the full setup version. This is worth $370 by itself. And guys, here's the thing. YouTube TV, it's just as much as Dish is, and you gotta worry now that you're going to see the next price increase in 6 months or 8 months or maybe a couple next year. Your cable company, you see those rate increases? About the fiber, just did a massive increase a month or two ago. Call us up. Let us lower those bills. Let us get you free stuff. We'll throw in dinner at JCW's. We'll set you up with Netflix for free. I've got gift cards also available that I can hook you up with on the internet. And then if you did get a special offer from Dish, call us up. Or if you don't know if you did because you throw away your mail, there might be an additional gift card I can hook you up with on top of that. But you got to call and we'll see how we can hook you up and save you money. Free stuff for upgrading, and I can tell you it's worth it. Call us today, 424-DISH, 801-424-DISH.
All right, Rick Neuheisel is our guest. Coming up next, preview tonight's national championship game kicks off in an hour. You can hear it right here on ESPN 700. All right, we're less than an hour away from kickoff. We have the College Football National Championship game on our radio station between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Let's bring in our next guest because I've misbehaved with the clock and I hate to keep him waiting. Pleasure to spend some time with Rick Neuheisel last week here in Park City, and Rick joins us now on a Monday. Rick, happy Monday, sir. How are you?
I am fantastic, Spence. How you doing, man? And that song that you brought me back with. Is that just trying to explain to the listeners how old I am, or what the heck are you doing here?
You know, I hate to blame my producer, but Porter decided to play. It must just been the California ties. It's a wonderful song, Rick, is it not?
It's a great song. It was written in the 60s, performed in the 60s, and so am I, a product of the 60s. So there you have it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I wanted to bring some of because I thought it was so fascinating listening to you discuss the future of college football last week during the Dauntless Capital event that we did, and people really enjoyed what you had to say. And I actually, it kind of gave me some hope. So I wanted to bring that conversation on air. We're, of course, in Salt Lake City. We're the home of the University of Utah. Brigham Young plays their college ball about 45 miles away. And the hypothetical I kind of posed to you, I indicated it felt like we're headed towards a pro model, and you kind of pushed back a little bit on that. And I thought your answer was well thought out and very well articulated. So for our listeners who, of course, didn't have a chance to hear it, the Rick Neuheisel take on the future of college football, and specifically where you think Utah and BYU could fit in.
Well, currently, if you subscribe to the theory that, as the old man said to his son one day, the answer's money. Now, what was the question? If you subscribe to that theory, then we are headed to a Super League. And that is going to be incredibly successful. And there's going to be a little bit of a kind of a gumball rally as to which teams make the field and how big the field actually is. Is it the SEC and the Big Ten? Are they going to take some, folks from the Big 12 and the ACC that are, currently positioned well? And really, if you choose to do that, which the big money people might very well and the television executives might very well, you're basically just saying it's all a product of timing, right? Stanford 10 years ago would have been in the Big Ten. But 10 years later, after they didn't, keep up with the Joneses with admissions, they're now in the ACC. Utah, given their amazing rise from Mountain West to Pac-12 now to the Big 12, and I know it was an off year for the Utes given the injuries, but Utah could very well be on the right side of the line, as could BYU given a 10-win season. So these are things. But why would we do that? Why would we, limit the amount of opportunities that we're providing young people? Remembering that only 3% of these kids, and that's a high number, are going to get a chance to play professionally. So why would we do that? Why would we limit educational opportunities? I would offer that we can keep everybody. There's currently 133 teams in Division I. We can keep everybody. What we have to do is make the smaller leagues, those who aren't as attractive to television, attractive. And the way you do that is you borrow the European soccer model of promotion and relegation. So you get these smaller conferences able to win their way into the big conferences, and the big conference cellar dwellers who are just raking money off the top, they have to go to the other leagues and earn their way back. And I think we'll get a competitive model. We'll have way more popular television inventory, and my fingers are crossed that'll be the choice, because that will keep as many scholarships as is possible, which is exactly what the whole enterprise was created for.
And I loved your anecdote about you being a walk-on and ultimately needing to kind of maintain the space for people to have the same experience you did, right?
Yeah, Rick Neuheisel doesn't exist in the future. I mean, he doesn't get to play at UCLA. He can find his way to Division II and so forth, but to get a chance to run out on the field and see that rose in the center of it, and to be the MVP of a Rose Bowl doesn't happen. That's not fair. There are guys out there that deserve that chance, that have worked their tails off, and I got my fingers crossed that we'll do the right thing. And the leaders, more importantly, the leaders of college football, who are going to be offered extravagant sums of money, will be willing to say, listen, let's push a little of that back in the table and remember who this is really for.
So perhaps the role of private equity and venture capitalist funds in college football isn't as topical or interesting to certain listeners as it is to me, but I find it fascinating that we could be moving into a space, Rick, as you know, where college football teams at some point, and we're seeing this a little bit because college football teams have general managers. Some of them have cap experts and a ton of lawyers to make sure they're following the rules, but ownership structures could potentially eventually look like the NFL. Do you feel like that's also becoming closer and closer to a reality?
Well, in certainly the Big 12, where Utah resides, and also the ACC, it's a reality because they're faced right between the eyes with this proposition of the House settlement, which is going to cost them some measure of $20 million a year annually to pay their players. That's just going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's even worse news because we're going to lose that lawsuit. That number will be exponentially higher, and we'll lose programs. Again, the goal for me is preserve all the programs. So what has to happen is we have to keep looking at how we're going to provide the resources for the enterprise. We didn't look in the future. We kept raking off the table, even though the golden goose was even getting more golden and fatter. And at the end of the day, now the Supreme Court has realized that these are employees. These kids are working hard, and they're not getting enough of the proceeds. So now that they're going to, we've got to restructure. And in restructuring, I hope that private equity will be included. And that doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it professional. It just means that we're borrowing some money for a good return that will make this all make sense. And again, if you don't think of this through the eyes of how much am I going to make, but how many scholarships I'm going to retain, and I know that sounds Pollyanna, we'll be better off for it.
I wanted to move over to a conversation you and I had about the Pac-12 because when we got on the phone, you were good enough to give me some time. We discussed, what I perceive to be, and look, I know it's yesterday's news, but I don't get a chance to interview you on this show very often. And I'm still sad about it because as a student at the University of Utah in the late 90s, I understand how the Pac-12 changed not just the athletic department, but the school that I attended. And when it collapsed, I was pretty bummed out. And it's a new day. It's a new world. Utah's on to the Big 12. But you have kind of a little bit of a different take. And I don't want to speak for you, but potentially George Kliavkoff kind of falling on the sword in maybe a bit of an unfair way. Is that a fair way to kind of articulate your sentiment?
I think it's too easy to point at the commissioners, Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff, as the villains here. Maybe they made some poor decisions, and retrospectively, I think they would both agree that they have. But at the end of the day, it was the presidents of the Pac-12 that overvalued their worth, that overvalued what television was going to pay for them. The time zone on the West Coast isn't as valuable as the time zone on the East Coast, and because of it, they kept saying, well, we're worth the same as the Big Ten, going back to the days when, the Pac-12 would kind of dominate the Rose Bowl. How in the world are we going to take less money than the Big Ten? They turned down a deal just the year previous that would have been the equal of the Big 12 and did so because of their ego. And I think therein lies the problem, not really an educated understanding of what the economics were in television, and the presidents need to be held accountable for that.
All right, before we get to tonight, and that will be where we end, I wonder what the Rick Neuheisel take is on the new expanded 12-team CFP now that we are about to see it culminate with its final game tonight.
I love it. I love that we've, shared the wealth in terms of opportunity. I love that Boise State was in it. Never mind that they didn't win. They played a big-time game if they don't turn the ball over, and how many football games can we say that about? I love that SMU in year one, taking no money from the ACC for television, got in. They proved that, that exciting football can be played by teams that were in the last year were in the group of five. That's wonderful stuff. Indiana is a wonderful story. We talk all the time about the Cinderellas of college basketball and what makes the college basketball tournament so fun. That's exactly what we see. And when the scores were one-sided, everybody said, well, we were wrong to do it. Look at the NFL playoffs in week one. They were one-sided except for the Commander Tampa game. It's just the way it is. It doesn't always turn out to be, a final minute finish. But at the end of the day, it was fantastic. It will absolutely keep the parity in recruiting from sea to shining sea. People will know they can get to the playoffs from any portion of the country, and that's great news for the game of college football.
So we move over to tonight with two blue bloods, and I'm sure the power brokers.
I'm here in Atlanta, and My mom and dad are from the Midwest. Their names are Dick and Jane. I was this close to being named Spot. But I am in with a bunch of Dick and Janes from all over the Midwest. They brought the Midwestern weather to Atlanta. It's about 25 degrees. They are having the time of their life. It's like I'm watching a group of people that are at the Elks Club having Friday night fish fry. It is the greatest thing, and I am enjoying these two brands getting ready to go to battle.
I love it. Do you have a feel for which fan base will be better represented tonight?
I'm going to guess Ohio State's going to be probably 60-40 in the majority. A lot of red jerseys around here. A lot of excitement about their first national championship since 2014. They have the opportunity to be the first in the CFP to win the championship and the first in the 12-team format to win the championship, which is wonderful. Notre Dame's trying to get their first championship since 1988 when Dr. Lou was their coach. We'll see if they can get that done. If they can get the game to the fourth quarter, they're in it, but I'm picking the Buckeyes.
All right, my friend. Well, since you're there and you're busy, we will set you loose, and I will say a very big thank you for not just your time today, but your participation last week. It was fun to see you, okay?
It was a blast. Your dad was a blast as well. Please give him my best. And to college football fans, enjoy the evening. It's a great night for the game. The game always delivers.
Yes, it does. The great Rick Neuheisel played high-level quarterback when he was playing his college ball at UCLA. Spent a little bit of time in the pros as well. Probably better known as a coach at a very, very high level where he won a Rose Bowl. Spent time coaching at Colorado. Spent time coaching at UW where he won his Rose Bowl. Was with the Ravens for 3 years, then took over at UCLA. And now he's doing the broadcast thing with CBS. So we appreciate his time. And we have the college football national championship coming your way in about 40 minutes from right now. So stay tuned. And before we catch a break, we welcome in Ryan from the Dish Pros. New year, new you. Save money, budget smartly, and you can save a grip of money with your wireless situation, your cable television, and your intranet. 801-424-DISH. What's going on, Ryan?
And these offers right now are so good. It's basically free money. And in fact, a bunch of Dish customers actually get, or potential Dish customers get special invites from Dish that come in the mail. Now, a lot of us do what I do, grab the mail, throw it in the garbage. Listen, if you're thinking about switching, call us up. Because we have the system, the capability that I can check and see if you got an additional offer. But the offer that we have, the main one, is super awesome. I love this offer because I think it just ties everything together. TV is not like it was when I started this business back in 2002. You got to have a little bit of everything. And Dish has built a system that you can have the streaming and the regular TV, have the really slick DVR that's super fast, that auto-records your team's games. And here's the thing, call us up. You get this awesome 2-year promotion, huge credits for 2 years. We guarantee the price doesn't change. If you've seen your cable bill, your YouTube bill, your DirecTV bill, it all went up. Your fiber bill, it all went up. Guys, I'll tell you right now, it's going to go up again, and it's going to go up again, and it's going to go up again. But if you switch right now, it can be cheaper than what you're currently paying, plus the price will guaranteed. And I'm going to throw in Netflix free for 2 years. Guys, this is the ad-free version. This is worth $370 by itself. And I'll throw in dinner at GCW's on top of everything. Plus, on the internet, we can help there. Guys, I've got internet services, fiber in certain areas, $35 a month. I got this 5G product that I've been using at my house for 2.5 years now. That's $50 a month. Call us up, lower your bill, save money, plus get the best price. When you call us, guys, we're going to hunt out. We're going to find the best deal for you. Call now, 424-DISH, 801-424-DISH.
All right, there he is, Ryan from the Dish Pros. We are out and about today. We've had a really good time down here at the Warehouse, which is 1825 South, 300 West. The phone number is 801-467-2202. They are slashing prices in a way that is irritating me because I furnished my home about 3 months ago. We're talking sofas, we're talking mattresses, we're talking bases, you name it. My guy Vidal stops by one more. Actually, no, we have a couple more. But before the 5 o'clock hour, Vidal, first let's reset the offers that you have outlined so far.
Let's go all over again. I mean, these deals just keep coming and coming. Remember, we have the twin size mattress, 8-inch memory foam gel infused, $199. And what?
And what's the value?
The value that was $1,200.
$1,200 for $199.
And then you get a free pillow. Nobody's gonna
Free
give
pillow.
Nobody's gonna give you a free pillow.
And a nice pillow.
Oh, they're nice pillows.
Yes.
They are $120 value pillows, and they're free. As long as you buy a mattress from us, they're gonna be free, totally free, not a problem. So we have the same mattress, 8-inch memory foam gel infused. Only is gonna be in a bigger size, a full size. $199 still. Same price as the twin size. Where are you going to find that?
Here at the warehouse.
Here at the warehouse.
That's all. That's it.
Here at the warehouse, Salt Lake City, okay? Still comes with a free pillow. Free pillow. How about let's talk about the California King. The California King.
This is the setup I'm getting before I leave, by the way. Go ahead.
California King. I mean, values at $6,600. What's our value? $1,399.
Wild.
Mattresses and bases, and they're gonna be not your affordable bases. They're actually the really nice heavy duty bases, head up, foot up, massage. I mean the brand of it, they're expensive. The bases alone they're about $4,000. Like I said previously, we have those for $1,399, including the mattress. Okay. And we talked about the split kings. I just got out the phone. I had a phone call. I was talking to this lady. She's coming down over here. She's coming down to get one of those. She's like, I'm coming down over there. I'm gonna get them. Hold them for me. I'll be there soon.
That's the setup, man.
I mean, they're coming for the $1,699 value. $1,699. Those are usually value about $42 to $58 depending on the mattress. Okay. Now, let's move to something else.
You got something else for us.
Let's move to something else.
Okay, I like it.
Now, this is something that I'm happy to say. This is definitely something that I'm happy to say. I'm able to tell you the brand of this company. Okay, Purple. Have you heard of Purple mattresses?
Of course.
Purple
yes.
mattresses. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're nice mattresses.
Yep.
I mean, we have an outlet right here, almost right next to us, and let me tell you, those prices they're a little bit more than we want to pay. And look, I even printed it out for you.
Okay.
I have a printout of their value.
I like it.
Their mattress right now on sale, $23.99.
That's their sale.
That's their sale for their queen size. Let me be specific on this. It's going to be the queen size Restore Hybrid. We have it on the soft, and then we have the queen size Restore Plus Hybrid Firm. Those mattresses, they're expensive. Let me tell you, they're really good quality. Their cheapest one is $2,400. Mine is gonna be $899.
No, it's not. Now you're just lying. Come on.
It's gonna be $899.
So
guys.
their sale price is $2,300. That's their sale price. You're doing it for $899.
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna keep your job.
Well, Tom said yes. So.
Okay, all right. And also, we should mention, Tom mentioned that you have good financing options, right?
We do. We actually have 3 different companies that we can finance through. They don't check your credit. They only go based on your bank information. As long as you have a steady income, ID, and a bank information, that's all we need. They give you up to 100 days to pay it off with no interest. And then I have another one that we can definitely go ahead and give you up to a year. Interest free. So it's definitely up to you. We have different options that we can definitely go ahead and work with, and we'll do everything possible for us to go ahead and for you to live with something. Definitely.
The sectional.
How about the sectional?
Yeah, I mean, people love couches. You know, sports fans listen to this show. They want a good couch to watch their games on.
You know what I really like about this one? Just in case you're drinking something or anything, if you spill something on it, wipe it off brand new again. This is the 4th generation microfiber. You can definitely go ahead and just wipe it off brand new again. Very easy to maintain. They're scratch resistant. Nowadays, I mean, back then you scratch it and that was it. You need a brand new couch. Now this one, they're actually scratch resistant. Very good. Their power, they come with USB port chargers on the middle console. Comes with 4 cup holders in total. I mean, we have a game coming up on Wednesday, right?
We got one tonight. I mean, this week there's like a game every night.
Right? Oh, well, there you go, man.
Yeah,
Also, one of the best things that we can actually deliver within 24 hours. Man.
That's amazing.
We'll deliver and set them up for you. Not a problem. As long as You just give it the money, we'll take care of everything else. Simple as that.
Gotta love it, man. Look, I was just told this is actually going to be our last hit, so you've been awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us out today, okay?
Thank you, of course. Thank you guys so much.
That's our guy, Vidal. Come down and see him. I mean, we gave you a lot of information, so if you want to call and ask questions, that's one way to do it at 801-467-2202. That's 801-467-2202. The address is really easy. It's right off the freeway. Wherever you are, you're probably within 10 or 15 minutes. It's 1825 South, 300 West. Yeah, I furnished my house 2 months ago, and I'm actually in a bad mood. These deals are incredible. All right, 3 hours down, about a half hour to go. We're going to preview the national championship game next with our buddy Sean O'Connell. The great OC will join us. And then we say goodnight in time for kickoff of Notre Dame, Ohio State on a Monday drive. So keep it here on ESPN 700. Drive at 5 time. We are live today at the warehouse. Come on by and say hi at 1825 South, 300 West. If you have any questions, the deals are insane. They did not warn me about what they're doing. Couches, they've got mattresses. I just tried out a couple myself. They got bases, and it's more than half off. I can't even describe all the deals that my guy Vidal has given you. So give them a call at 801-467-2202. That's 801-467-2202. Or come by at 1825 South, 300 West here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. We have the College Football National Championship game coming up in just about 25 minutes from right now. We'll do a little pregame style. Then you'll hear kickoff between Ohio State and Notre Dame. It is the final game of the college football season, obviously. The line has moved, this time the way of Notre Dame. About 30 minutes ago, Ohio State was a 9-point favorite. In the last 15 minutes, it has moved the way of Notre Dame. Ohio State is now an 8.5-point favorite to get this taken care of tonight. By the way, I want to tell you about my friends at Overtime Cards and Collectibles in Sandy, 10673 South State Street. That is the best spot for all your football, basketball, hockey, MMA, and even Pokemon card collecting. With it being 2025, you can start a new fun hobby of collecting cards, and there's no better spot to do that than Overtime Cards and Collectibles. Check them out online at overtimecardsandcollectibles.com, where you can buy and trade. So we've had a really, really fun show today. Of course, we started things off with some thoughts on the Utah men's basketball team taking care of BYU on Saturday night at the Huntsman Center. I was in the building. It felt like the late 90s. It did. For the first time in a long, long time from my perspective. 73-72 was the score there as Craig Smith and his running Utes, they've won 3 straight Big 12 basketball games, and they find themselves at 3-3 in conference play, which is good enough for a virtual tie now with Baylor, TCU, and UCF. BYU falls to 2-4. BYU has not won a road game this year. BYU is 0-5 in quad 1 opportunities. BYU is 0-4 in games decided by 5 points or less. Kevin Young's got a lot of talent on that roster. He's got to prove he can coach, and that's the bottom line. So I want to remind you that Utah's game against Houston has been moved. It was originally set for tomorrow, and now it's going to be played Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock at the number 7 ranked team in the country. That is Houston, and they're really good. So our show is going to be a little bit short on that Wednesday afternoon. But the College Football Playoff National Championship is upon us, presented by AT&T. Joining us now, I thought we'd bring our guy Sean O'Connell on, the great OC. You can hear him in the middays to break this thing down on a Monday. Sean, overtime duty on Monday. Hopefully you're getting time and a half, yeah?
Yes. For these 22 minutes or whatever, I'm going to be charging the company time and a half for sure.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I know how you roll. So let's just, right out of the gates, in your opinion, can the Fighting Irish make this a fair fight?
Absolutely they can. I mean, they didn't accidentally become the number 2 total defense in the country, the number 2 scoring defense in the country. And they got here because they've been able to get the offensive production necessary to get over some really, really good teams. Of course, that's also true of Ohio State. And the Fighting Irish have a tough test in front of them. If you go on paper, there's a reason that Ohio State, by the end of my show, they were 8.5-point favorites. I don't know if the line has moved, but there's a reason for it. Still, I think the Irish cover that, and I think they have a good chance to win.
Yeah, it actually moved up to 9 at one point for Ohio State. Then the last 15 minutes has moved back towards the Irish, and Ohio State is an 8.5-point favorite. And obviously, Sean, as you know, Ohio State has been able to get out early on some really, really good teams throughout the course of their run. And if you're Notre Dame, you can't let this be a Tennessee or an Oregon track meet. Texas played them better, but there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds on Ohio State's part. So how does Notre Dame stop Ohio State from starting the way they seem to have been able to start so far during this run?
Well, this is the thing that I talked about a little bit on my show, and Jeff Schwartz was a guest today, and we talked about it. It's the reason he's skeptical of the Irish's ability to stop Ohio State because just like Oregon, Notre Dame is a man defense team. In fact, they are the number 1 man defense team in the country. They play more man defense than anybody in all of college football. And obviously, they've had good results with that so far.
we've seen this watching Utah football for many years. Sometimes you do have to get away from, quote-unquote, who you are in order to match up with incredibly athletic teams, in order to match up with a team that's got, I don't know, like 3 All-American caliber wide receivers, whether they're going to be All-Americans this year or in years to come, draft picks this year or in years to come. That's what Ohio State's got. I mean, we've seen that up close and personal at the Rose Bowl, and you've seen it on television with Ohio State, even in this college football playoff. So I talked about it a lot on the show. If Notre Dame is not overly prideful and can say, you know what, we need to be able to integrate some zone concepts, we need to manufacture some pressures here, and we need to not leave our guys who've been so good on an island, but not leave them on an island against this wide receiver group, then you've got a chance of confusing Will Howard, who's more prone to turnovers than people really give it credit for, and that would be an opportunity to win this game. If you lose the turnover margin, Ohio State's going to beat you. If you give them short fields, Ohio State's going to beat you. If you give them huge chunk plays and you let the freshmen get out to, 115, 120-yard, 150-yard game, then you're in big trouble. So that you've got to integrate some disguised coverages where it looks like you're giving them the man look that they're accustomed to seeing, and you're dropping people into zones and hopefully getting underneath the ball and maybe forcing an interception or a turnover some other way.
Ohio State, Notre Dame, about 20 minutes away from first kick from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Game time weather is 25 degrees. We had Rick Neuheisel on earlier, who's down on site. He said the crowd at this point is about 60% Ohio State, 40% Notre Dame. I mean, these are 2 big-time brands in college football. The Ohio State Buckeyes have not won a national championship in a decade. Notre Dame is looking for their first national championship in 36 years. Let's talk about the dynamic of playing this game, Sean, on Monday night as opposed to trying to go head-to-head with the NFL. And I'm not trying to call out any of our peers in sports media, college football media, but the same people that seem to complain about the dynamic of trying to go head-to-head against pro football are now complaining that this game is being played on Monday night. What do you think of the dynamic, and do you think college football should just try to go head-to-head against the NFL?
I absolutely do not think you should try to go head-to-head against the NFL. That nobody's won that battle in American sports broadcasting in at least the last 20 years, maybe going further back before I was really paying close attention to it. No, this is a great place for it to be. You're after the divisional weekend in the NFL playoffs, and you've got Monday night to yourself. I mean, Saturday night was a very, very crowded sports calendar. You had NFL playoff games, you had a big UFC fight, you had a college basketball rivalry game in at least one state, this one, right? So why try and go up against programming like that? Why don't ever try to go toe-to-toe with Roger Goodell. Carve out a little niche for yourself, make it the same day every calendar year so that people can pencil it in and they know when it's going to be. And I don't know why people are worried about it. I suppose it's new territory for some college football players, but it's not like you're asking them to play on a Thursday or play on a Saturday and then turn around on short notice and play on the following Monday. You're giving them a couple extra days of preparation. So I've got no problem with the place this game is at. I actually think it's the perfect one. Caps off a wonderful weekend of football competition at the very, very highest level. And it steers clear of the AFC, NFC championship matchups and, of course, the Super Bowl, which you would never want to push the college season that late, and also you would never want to go up against anything like that.
So the last time Notre Dame won a national championship was 1988. They beat West Virginia, and since then it's been a ride. It's been an up-and-down ride. Fighting Irish have averaged an AP top 5 finish about every 6 years. They almost won it in 93. They played in the BCS championship game in 2012 and in the CFP in 2018 and 2020. But they lost their 3 semifinal or title games in the 2010s by an average score of 34-7. They have been smoked in big games, historically speaking. I know you said that you think they can make it a fair fight, and you kind of outlined some reasons why. Let me ask you what you think is going to happen, Sean, because most people really seem to be heavy on the Buckeyes, even with this big line.
Look, I think that ultimately
Ohio State. My head says Ohio State's probably going to win this game. My heart says keep pushing for the Irish. I do think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. Marcus Freeman deserves credit for being the guy. There's been a lot of great coaches at Notre Dame, and he is the guy who has got him to this place, got him over those semifinal humps, got him into the BCS or New Year's Six games. They lost like 10 in a row, and then finally shook that monkey off their back because of the culture he has instilled, because of the energy that he brings, because of the schematic adjustments that he is willing to make, and of course because of the players that he has brought in this NIL era. He's fully leveraging the status of Notre Dame and that university and that football community and what it actually means to be a member of the Fighting Irish. He's leveraged that to this level of success. Ohio State was a team that 5 weeks ago we were talking about being maybe the third best in their own conference. It's not like they're invulnerable. What Michigan did to them can be done again. Of course, what Northern Illinois did to the Fighting Irish could also be done again. So I think that I'm still going to ride with the Fighting Irish. I'm going to say it's an overtime victory, and then we're all happy. And this expanded college football playoffs, these 12 teams, end in an epic, instant classic game. And everyone feels vindicated that this expanded format was a long time coming, and we finally got it.
Let's go to Ryan Day, because a lot of attention on this Wonderkin's rising star, and deservedly so, Marcus Freeman at the age of 39. Ryan Day is about to finish his 6th season in Columbus, and this will be another top 4 finish, which makes it 4. His 6-year win percentage is better than Jim Tressel's, and his average SP Plus percentage rating is better than Urban Meyer's. But yet there seems to be this undercurrent of Ohio State fans that are still wondering whether or not this is the guy. Is that just a commentary on the lunacy of Buckeye football fans because they are so invested and involved? Or are there legitimate things to criticize Ryan Day for besides losing to Michigan 4 times in a row?
Okay, so there's just something when you look at the guy with probably the excessively dyed just for men pitch black beard that speaks to some level of insecurity, and I think
That's
that
fair.
people don't like that
That's
in
fair.
a head coach. And look, this is actually something that we kind of joked about on my show with Weddle, because I asked if Ryan Day is a viable head coach at the NFL level, and he said absolutely not. There's just something about that guy. He's not a leader of men. There's something, you look at him and you just know that he can't master that kind of a locker room, right? And I kind of laughed about it, but then, talked with him more off air about what he means. And he cited, I think he actually cited on there too, but he cited the brawl, the flag planting situation, the fight that happened after the rivalry game, and how inactive and how passive he was, and how he didn't do anything to discipline his team or to get him out of there or to show leadership in that moment. And that might mean something, but at the end of the day, he's a great schematic mind, and he's somebody that has his team in the position to win a national championship tonight. So any criticisms you have, you're really, really nitpicking, and you're really splitting hairs.
I know you've talked about this on your show. For our listeners, tune in to Sean's show midday on the station, 11 to 2. He does a great, great job. But I wanted to kind of bring your thoughts on the 12-team expanded CFP onto the afternoon drive space for listeners who haven't heard it. Now that it's about to culminate in a national championship game tonight, you like it, you don't like it, adjustments, what are your thoughts?
I really like it quite a bit. I think the ratings have proved that it has helped college football as a whole, not just the CFP and its games, but even the other bowl games got better ratings because everyone stays invested, stays involved, stays emotionally and intellectually dialed in on the college football season, which is, that's important. The whole country being involved instead of just the SEC or just the Big Ten is what college football is all about. I think the adjustment that needs to be made, and obviously will be made in very short order, is that the seeding is just going to be, 1 through 12, the highest ranked teams, regardless of who wins a conference championship. That automatic first round bye for Boise State, for Arizona State, is probably going to be a thing of the past, maybe even as soon as 2025. But I would go for 16 teams in this thing. I could see it being a carbon copy of FCS playoffs sooner than later, because we have seen the money that comes with this. More people involved, more television sets on, more revenue for everyone.
And that's what these teams need right now because the NIL era is not going away. It's more expensive to field a competitive team than it ever was.
Well said, Sean. Before I set you loose, what comes our listeners' way on 11 to 2, the Sean O'Connell Show coming up tomorrow on a Tuesday?
Well, look, we're going to do a lot of reaction to this national championship game. Obviously, we're going to take a deeper look at these AFC and NFC championship games that are coming. A little bit of youth basketball. We're just going to have some fun on a Tuesday, and then we'll see what happens.
All right, my friend. Great to see you. I'll see you in studio tomorrow, okay?
All right, have a good one.
Sean O'Connell, 11 to 2, every day on the station. Definitely check him out. Doing a really, really good job. Played college ball around here, University of Utah, and obviously a prize fighter, mixed martial arts, won $1 million prize belt. And, of course, Bill left us for the University of Utah. He's not dead. He's still alive. He just went to the Utes. And so Sean took over his midday slot from 11 to 2. Live today here at the warehouse at 1825 South, 300 West. A bunch of great deals on mattresses, bases, sofas, chairs. So do not go to one of the name brand stores and pay top dollar like your boy did. Come on by here at 1825 South, 300 West. Give him a call at 801-467-2202. Porter Larson, young man, what's your head tell you, what's your heart tell you about this college football national championship game that kicks off in T-minus 9 minutes?
Yeah, man. Well, luckily we had a Notre Dame faithful on the show to kind of give you the lowdown. And Sean's right. This is a game that Ohio State should win just based on the team that they have, the roster that they employ. I think that the main matchup that'll pose problems is on the outside, and that is not a hot take. Ohio State has the best wide receivers in the country by a large margin. That is the case, well, several years. It seems to be the case. So if Notre Dame comes out and plays their man coverage and does their usual thing, I think it's going to be a real uphill battle for them, trying to keep it close, trying to keep Ohio State from breaking it open. If they have something else in the works, Spence, if they have a wrinkle that they can throw at Ohio State and get that defense playing on their toes rather than their heels, I think Notre Dame has a chance. But it's going to have to be in that recipe, and it's going to have to be a lower scoring game than we may be looking forward to. So my head says Ohio State, but I do think if Notre Dame has any sort of a wrinkle, something you don't expect that they can throw at Ohio State, I think they got a shot at it. And I think they're the team that kind of is coming into this game with more momentum and more of a feeling of a national champion, although Ohio State is clearly the better roster.
As the NBA does every year, they celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a bevy of NBA action that's already in the books. The Jazz have not started their game yet, though. There are 2 NBA games left. It's the Jazz and the Pelicans, and then it's the Bulls and the Clippers. Utah Hockey Club welcomes in Winnipeg tonight. BYU basketball in action against Colorado tomorrow. Utah basketball has been moved, by the way, in case you missed that, from tomorrow to Wednesday. So Utah's on the road to take on Houston. Chicago Bears officially hired Ben Johnson today as their new head coach. That news came down a couple of hours ago, and it looks like it is official. So Caleb Williams gets a very bright offensive mind to hopefully usher him into a more successful sophomore campaign. All right, Porter, before we turn it over to the official coverage of the College Football National Championship game presented by AT&T, let's get the sponsor out there. Ohio State Notre Dame comes your way next. What comes our listeners' way on a Tuesday edition of the show?
On a Tuesday edition of The Drive, of course, we'll react to the College Football National Championship, which you hear right here. We'll do all of that with Matt Brown, of course, of Extra Points. We'll do it with Mike Sanford Jr., former college coach and guy with ties here locally. We'll do it with Roxy Bernstein. Maybe a little hoops talk with Roxy as well, of course, as he was on site for Utah and BYU. But on a Tuesday after the national title, we got to talk a little football with Roxy as well. And then after all that college football talk, Spence, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I've reached out to our friends at Wise Guys and let them know anytime you got comedians rolling through, let's get him on the show. Let's get him on with Spence. And Jim Jeffries is coming by next month, but he's going to stop by the show tomorrow.
Hell yes. That'll be fun. As you know, I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy, and Jim's a very funny guy. I look forward to meeting him. And we'll say goodnight for a Monday show. Special thank you, Spencer Hall, Tom Haberstroh, Josh Furlong, Scott Mitchell, and Rick Neuheisel, and, of course, the great Sean O'Connell. If you missed any of the sound from the show today, check out the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. Download our mobile app and take us on the go. ESPN 700 app is available in the App Store, Google Play Store for free. And then finally, for what we do in our space every afternoon for 4 hours, we would appreciate your support on our podcast page. Wherever you get your shows, we're there. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. That's available wherever you get your shows. Subscribe, rate, review, say nice things in the comments. Some of you have been mean lately. And give us nice reviews, all the stars if you possibly can. Special thank you to our friends here at The Warehouse, my guy Vidal and Tom Curl, the owner, 1825 South, 300 West. For Porter, Cynthia, my on-site tech, I'm Spence Checketts saying goodnight. Enjoy your Monday evening. The College Football National Championship game presented by AT&T is next. It's Ohio State, Notre Dame. Talk to you tomorrow right here on ESPN 700.